Good evening and welcome to the Senior Synth stream. Tonight it's going to be about strange or weird instruments, and mostly into synthesizers and stuff like that. We have a few guests, and today we have Manny online. Hello, Manny.
Hello.
First I'll present everybody, and then we'll take a round and hear how the last week has been. But first, hello Manny, and hello Andy.
Hey guys.
You just woke up.
Another nap. Nap number 2. It's not perfect, but it's all right. So.
Oh. It's 4 hours, 4.5 hours ago that we said
yes.
Good night to Andy when I hosted the Synth Gigery stream. So he had a little sleep.
Yes.
And welcome to David. Oh. Yeah. Welcome to David's room. and welcome to Tim.
Hi there.
Hi. And welcome to Ian.
Hi everybody.
And we are expecting one more if he turns up. But let's start with Manny. How has your week been?
My weekend's been typical. So I'm glad it's the weekend because I get to not play my doctor hat, get to play my synth hat. So, things are good.
Ah, great. And Andy, how has your week been?
It's been okay. I don't want to repeat myself too much to people watch the other show, but just trying to keep up with hardware jams. I was late last time, so mine didn't get submitted to the thing, but it's still online if you guys want to see it. Just doing some microscope content. Last night I did a micro attic stream and a stream before that of going to get the water samples and the beautiful nature settings with all the birdies and stuff. So that was about my whole week. Didn't do a whole lot else other than that. Just keeping busy with things. Good to be here.
Yeah, great to have you. And David, how has your week been? You are on. Now you're not. No, it's not you we are hearing then. Yeah. Take your time. We have a few hours. So let's move to Tim. How has your week been?
I didn't go quite so well. I've actually been off sick all week from work with the flu. So a lot of this week I haven't had any voice. So not quite so good. So glad now to have a voice back and can get back to doing some synth stuff because I just haven't been up to that in the evenings either. So I've got lots of ideas in my head and haven't been able to get them done. So.
And Ian?
Hi everybody. I'm not going to say what I did because Ramsey's show I covered what my week was, but I'll tell you what I've done since the end of Ramsey's show and to now. I've actually been in my garage digging out one or two weird instruments that I have. So I've done that, and I've also been just looking at some of the video of the gig that I played last night. So and thank God it did record. So I'll be getting on with that at some point next week. But like Andy says, I'm happy to be here too. And thanks, Dave, for wearing my T-shirt. You star.
And we'll try David again.
All right, is that better?
That's better.
Yeah, much better.
Yeah, you got to put it. You got to check your audio settings, which we all know. Oh, you're welcome, Ian. Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Thanks, man.
I love it. Happy accident today. I was just wearing it, man. But things are okay. Nothing exciting. Trying to get back into doing some music stuff. So this is good for me. So that's it.
Good. And my week, well, I told it earlier. But besides that, watching the news and feeling or thinking, why am I watching that?
I know. I know exactly what you mean.
It's a weird world.
Yeah.
So now let's move on to something else weird. Andy, you proposed this topic. Let's hear what you wanted to talk about.
It'd just be fun to kind of, since we always talk about kind of the same old gear, other than maybe occasional mention of MPE or portability, things like that. There's plenty of fun, wild, weird stuff out there that people may or may not know about. So sometimes they lead you down different paths, making music in a different way. Sometimes they make things that aren't even music. They're just weird and fun and crazy. So it's just good to have, different ways of playing things, different sound generators, all that kind of stuff. But like, for example, at one point, this was considered a weird synth, right?
Yeah.
Because how'd you fit all these synths in one box? It's so small, it's battery powered, has all this expression and probability and all these international scales and other weird stuff on it, even some microtonal stuff. How the hell did they do that? So that's like, was at one point would have been considered a weird instrument, or something like this, which has multiple synth engines in it, and it's super portable, and it also loads samples and stuff, and it's pretty crazy, and you can take it anywhere as a portable studio. So it really depends on what your definition of weird is. Capabilities, looks, sounds, stuff like that. And then, some of the ultimate weird stuff is like a crazy ass percussion instrument like this, which is one of the most expressive things I've ever played, even comparing it to real instruments, the ATV A-frame. And it has a weird synthesis engine. It's all DSP, taking your inputs from the pressure sensors, the contact mics in the frame, and converting that to all kinds of weird and wonderful natural and unnatural sounds. So it's a killer effects engine too. So effects are also a big part of this as well. If you want to get weird, you get really weird with your effects. Or just make it pretty or more palatable for people. So that's kind of a rough start. I have plenty more stuff to show and talk about, but I just wanted to throw that out there. Like, what do some people consider weird? Do you prefer weird, or do you prefer standard with a little bit of weirdness, or do you pretty much just go straight forward and say, screw all that weird shit?
Well, I think the funny thing is that I always think my stuff's really weird till I see other people perform, and then it doesn't seem so weird.
Yeah.
Good example is I played this gig last night, and I was second on, and the guy that followed me, and I've seen him play before. And my set was quite ambient. I used the Terror for the first time live with a Microcosm and a TRS-8. So those were the 3 bits of kit that I used. And I'd rehearsed it, and I'd sort of written a graphic score, because I think that's the only way you can do it with the Terror, to do the little triangle things with dots. And
that's what I've done.
So I spent a couple of days doing that. But I have to say, the guy that followed me, he was really out there. He was brilliant, but he was, So there's always somebody weirder than you, although you may think you're really weird,
Yeah.
One of the things I have brought is, has anybody seen one of these? This is a microphone.
Super Booth.
Oh, right, yeah, because I bought this at least a couple of years ago. The Leaf Audio microphonic soundbox. It's brilliant. It's got just a pickup in there. Stick that with a reverb pedal. You can put some rocks on it, all that sort of stuff. Or use I have a violin bow to make sounds with these. There's a little kalimba. The reason for this thing is so that I can, it's not plugged in, but you get the idea. They're not expensive either. I've just looked on the website. They're about £100. So
that's like a low end version of what the A-frame is doing. Is mics and converting stuff.
Yeah. It does need effects. I've never tried it with a microcosm actually, so and that's something I should certainly try and do, because I haven't used the microcosm a lot, but for the first time last night I started to use it as a looper, and I found that was really, really useful to do. Yeah.
Let's include Manny from the beginning, because Manny is not going to be here all the show. So,
I brought no toys. So it's interesting, because when you approached me about the topic for this week, I kind of was thinking, I'm not like synth addict. I don't have a bunch of what would be traditionally called weird things, but then it struck me that the context is, like I say, what is weird? Is it weird of physical design? Is it weird of the user interface, how you interact with it, the sound engine, that kind of stuff. And then I realized, of course, I'm always got to be that guy. Every synth is weird, right? Because it really depends what you're doing with it. Okay. So,
so is
how
it
does
the synth or the user?
So exactly. I say it's the user. Now there are obviously easy things with things that are, presented in a certain physical way. But, for me, every synth that has a decent amount of modulation capabilities is a weird synth because it's all about how you set it up to interact to what you're doing with it and how it affects the sound, right? It's controller interface to sound engine to timbral response. And that's what's weird. So, something like an A-frame is automatically unusual because the way it's constructed, it's built a certain way. But you can do everything you can do in a waveframe on a montage if you chose to set it up that way, right? Or in an Osmos, or in a Polybrute, or in a C15. Hydrosynth. Hydrosynth is a great weird synth. Okay, so I come from the perspective more of the user doing weird or unusual things with the hardware that they have.
Yeah, I would concur with that. Actually, it's like drum machines. I will always try and do something different, not what's expected.
Right.
Really, I'd always try and because I sort of have this feeling like the TB303 is a good example. It's sort of, I would always try and do something really weird with that's not expected.
Right.
I don't always succeed, I'll be honest, but it's so I'm always looking to do something that nobody else has done before with some of this sort of stuff.
Right. That's actually a really good example, Ian, because the TV303 only became popular once people did weird things with it because its intended design was not that. I mean, I bought it when it was new, and it was the synth-based replacement in our multi-piece band because we didn't have enough synth players just doing what you would think you were supposed to do with it. And it was very poor at that. But man, once somebody did something weird and different with it, it spawned a genre.
I like doing weird stuff with normal things, but the nice thing about the weirder instruments out of the gate is they force you down a path. They would never have gone that, even if I had a crazy nightmare and tried to do it with a normal synth, I probably would never have gotten there.
Right.
So.
Right.
Yeah, I was going to say, I kind of put them into two categories: synths that impose their will or want to, and more passive ones that allow you to kind of construct. And you're right. So you think of a Lyra 8, that's a synth that wants to impose its will to some degree, and modular to a large extent is good at that, let's say. So some synths are very, what's the word to use, aggressive with those tendencies. So they kind of lead you where you want, maybe where you were already kind of thinking. But then to Manny's point, you can go and go on certainly any FM synth and get really gnarly fast, right? To where it's like, what is this? I don't even know what I'm doing anymore, but it can be a lot of fun. So, but ultimately, the weird is probably in the mind of the, I find personally that I love listening to other people's kind of weird stuff. I like kind of putting some of that in there, but if I go too far, I kind of lose sight of even what I'm doing, what I'm projecting on the people. I'm not really sure. I kind of lose too much control to where I'm like, I don't know. Now I'm just making some wild stuff. Maybe it'll go out to the universe and somebody will kind of say, "Oh yeah, I get that." Like, so modular obviously is I think that's why a lot of us, if we don't have a whole wall of it, we have this for when we really kind of want to have maybe an inspiration machine Though I love the Lyra 8. Oh, and I have this.
I love the Lyra 8 too.
This
Yeah,
this
good.
I always show this every once in a while, but this is my baby.
Oh yeah,
This is one of the classic weird drone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a drone machine. Like,
I have the modular version of that, like a stripped down version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just kind of starts freaking out on you really fast, and you can't recreate things too well on it. It's just kind of, it's really great for textures, and kind of putting it in compositions if you can get it to be in tune. But yeah, that's just my thoughts.
Another great example is take something like the Kauai K1 or K12. Polly Alex Bow, when she was going by Elmo Sex Whistle and a bunch of other crazy names, like I can't remember all of it. Xander Beans and a bunch of stuff way back in the old days, and on Harmony Central, and even back on Gearspace before it changed its name, and would take that synth, which is basically a Rompler, right? It's like a poor man's D50 with the stick and the layering and the sampled attacks mixed with some synthesis, and taking a crazy wild direction. And you go, that's a K1 too? Or, so just thinking outside the box, and made me start using mine a bunch more, because I was just doing boring stuff with mine, right? And because it has AM modulation in it, and a bunch of other stuff that if you know how to use those, it gets pretty wicked. And the trick with the samples, obviously, dropping way down in fidelity when you drop way down in the octaves, and you get some magic coming out of there. So, yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, I'll jump in. Yeah, when because what really bugged me because most of the stuff I do is in software, and probably about 5, 6, 7 years ago, there was just a huge spate of soft synths coming out, all virtual analog, and there seemed to be a new one every month, and all of them on paper read exactly the same. Their capabilities, what their oscillators were, their waveforms, and you just sit there longing for someone to do something a bit different. And so it's nice now that there's a few people doing creative stuff. But as a sound designer, I'm all the time looking for things that just makes a sound something different. This is probably the craziest thing I own, which is the Make Noise Traeger, which is just insane. Any instrument that you really can't describe in about 30 seconds is it's just it is quite phenomenal. And the latest thing I've just bought, which I managed to get hold of one on eBay because they've gone out of business.
Oh yeah.
Is the Aodio Anima Phi.
Wow.
Which is, for those who don't know, is a virtual modelling synth. But it's got a few interesting features, such as a piezoelectric microphone inside, so you can actually tap the sound out as well if you've got it like a sustained sound, and you can process input sounds as well. And so yeah, it's just all the time looking for something that's just a little bit different. So again, as someone said, to spark that creativity.
This is the Anima Phi in a wind controller. This is called
you got the wind one,
Silphio.
too?
Yeah, this is the Silphio here, and rest in peace Aodio, because they burned Manny and me and a bunch of other people out of the Anima
Omega.
Yeah. See, I already forgot about it because I'm angry about it. So,
So what you kickstart? You backed the Kickstarter?
we backed it. Yeah, it was a lot of
wow.
money,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah, it was like $1,200, $1,300
Wow.
so far, something like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, they have amazing sound engines. It's physical modeling mixed with other stuff. But because this has this imitates kind of a rolling in a wind controller. You have basically 5 degrees of expression here with tilting, rolling.
Oh, wow.
This embarrassing movement when it's in your mouth does the vibrato. I won't imitate it on string. You've got a ribbon controller down here for your thumb, and some other tweaks you can do with it. So it's very, very expressive for a wind controller, but also as a standalone synth. There are like 50 or 60 amazing presets in there that are just layered beyond belief.
Yeah.
With expression. So.
I just ordered this one, and I'm very exciting to excited to get to use it. So it's mostly for drones, but it can be used as an oscillator too.
Did Ramsey have that on his show? I don't remember that one.
I don't know, but I spoke about it. I spoke about it. And that's the first Eurorack module I've been thinking of for more than a year. And that was in the main. So.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Yeah. David. What's the most weird synth in your studio besides you?
Daggone it. Is the Grendo the weirdest? I don't know. I purged a lot of stuff, so I was like, I got rid of some of my best weird stuff.
Or what do you get the most weird things out of?
I was gonna. I have a 4-track. So it's not right here. I've got a little 4-track cassette that I like to play in reverse and record on. I get some really weird stuff off of that. Just your classic tape kind of reverse and weird saturation, and find old tapes, and record them and slam a bunch of reverb or delay on them. That's
great, actually.
Yeah, I would say it's probably still one of the weirdest things when I listen to like old recordings. I'll stop and go, man, how did I do that? And I'm like, oh man, it had to be that cassette. Like nothing else. I just don't have anything else. I mean, I can usually tell the modular stuff. It definitely can get weird too. If you don't need much, even beads, and you start using a few of the processors, and that's probably a lot of that'll get really weird on me really quick. I'm trying to think of other techniques. And then the other thing is also using live mics and recording kind of sounds. Like I've got this, pick this little bell up, and I can kind of just use that as a source. And then I think Andy was saying it, you start running it through some different effects, really basic effects. And you just, the other thing I wish I had it right in front of me is the Moog cluster flux. That one's great for, if you really push that, it'll do some really nice, insane kind of loop backing, feedback and stuff. It's great. It's absolutely great. When I first got back into a lot of electronic stuff, I didn't know what I was doing. And I was playing in a band with one of my buddies, and I was just taking the pedals and just putting sounds through them and just cranking them in every which way until something really bizarre came up. And still one of my favorite techniques. And I love those Mogerfogers for that, mainly because they could handle just about anything you put at them. And while they would kind of break down, they'd always break down really pleasing. And I still use them. I have the Murph, the cluster flux, filter pedal. I might have sold the ring mod. I probably shouldn't have, but yeah, that's some of my weirdest stuff I probably I have at the moment, which semi-weird. Gets weirder. I know
effects are a
that.
big part of it. I mean, effects are my gateway to anything halfway decent.
Absolutely.
Old Casio crap that I had when I had no money, and then you just start layering stuff with effects, and then you get really weird with them, because you take even a flanger, crank up the feedback. And on certain things, it's all like bends back on itself. It's really, really cool. That's weird.
Yeah, that's the cluster flux. That's what I was talking about. It could do that.
Oh, it's amazing.
Is it the same sort of thing, where it's just bending? It's a good way to describe it.
It's metallic and rubbery, and it's really, really cool.
And if you can get some kind of clock or tempo, it's just bouncing all over in the weirdest way. And
it's really
can be pleasing is the word I use.
So even if you don't have a weird synth, as earlier described, just out of the box, you can make it weird with your effects and your use of the effects too. So.
I mean, I sometimes like to do things with like conventional instruments. Like I remember once I have a didgeridoo in the house, which is split at the top, so it can't be used as a didgeridoo. So it's just an ornament, really. And I thought, I want to do a track with this didgeridoo. So I threw marbles down it, close mic'd the hit of the marbles onto a wooden table, and then loads of reverb, and it just sounded amazing, you know. So I will buy odd. I mean, the last thing I bought a few weeks ago was this thing. This is £5 on TikTok. So this is an ocean drum. You know. So I haven't used it yet, but at some point I'll use it. 6 loads of reverbs around it, or you know, with a microcosm or something like that, and just make weird stuff. But to Dave's point about how you know, I was listening to a track this week because I've been working on finishing off this album which we put out, and I'd done the original. It was a sound design project that I'd done for these short stories. And I was listening to one of the tracks, and I have no idea how I did some of those sounds, because we're like 5 years ago. I'd have to go back and look at the original project and see what I did. But I'm thinking, that sounds great. How the hell did I do that? You know, what I should do is write it down, but I don't always. You know, I have books, and I mean,
what?
You know,
write it down.
Yeah, write it down. Like, you know, how I did it, but I don't always do that. You know.
Are you, when you come up with something weird, are you sampling it sometimes?
Oh, yeah, a lot of the time, yeah. Yeah, I've got into the habit of recording practically everything, you know. So in preparation for this gig on Friday, I've spent probably the last 10 days getting my head around the terror to some extent, but it's only the last couple of days that I've actually recorded the whole set. I knew the set was going to be different when I played it live. So the idea being that everything, you know, it's never going to be the same 2 times playing it. So I've got into the habit of, because I've got a little L6, Zoom L6 now, and before that I had the R20, R18, R20. I would do the same with that, and this thing here at the side will record as well, but that's wired up to all this stuff. And about to be ripped out in a few weeks' time because I'm going to change the whole thing around again. So I would try and record everything, and then I would turn them into samples. And the good thing about the L6 is I can load samples into it. I can put a bank of 4 samples in there. So I could create a loop and then use that live, you know. And providing there's enough capacity in the card that I've put in it, it could be as long as I like, really, which I really quite like that idea. You know, I mean, on it at the moment, I don't use long samples. I mean, there's 2 samples in it at the moment. One was recorded off iPad, and the other one was a drum loop that I found that I then turned into it was a drum loop, but I then made it into another drum loop, if that makes sense. You know. But always sampling something.
Yeah. Manny, what is the weirdest thing you've done in your studio?
Oh boy.
Music or
yeah.
Oh, you're bad. Actually, that wasn't the way I was going. I was thinking that I'm not under an NDA for. Well, I guess my 2 weirdest instruments that I have would be my VL1 and my C15. And that's just from the context of they are the most typically unusual synthesis engines. And you can set them up in such a way that you could walk up to it and it will surprise the you-know-what out of you, depending on what you've touched on the thing. Yes, FM is already weird. So, you know, when Andy was describing the Cifalo, you know, it's got 5 real-time inputs to a modeling engine, okay? VL1's the same. And, of course, What's really cool about it is how they're all set and interact with each other, make it, weirdly unpredictable or weirdly gorgeous, depending on what you're doing with it. There is a set of the sounds. I don't know why we always put this in the last bank, but it's the last bank, of course, that has, to be totally transparent, all the what the F voices that we had no idea what the heck they were. They're not an instrument. They just did really weird things depending on how you massaged the wheels, did the breath control, did the aftertouch, because you always had a minimum of 4 real-time inputs on that. So there's things that are called like Tyrannosaurus something, F1. I mean, weird noises that, if you hit the key, it does kind of what the thing sounds. So the one that does the Godzilla scream, it's called Jurassic. But it does a whole bunch of other stuff that is just like, by just setting those controllers right. And again, it's a modeling synth. And then the C15, in a lot of similarities, does the same thing in that it has a very basic engine, but because it has a modeling component, that it does some very weird things that you would not expect in terms of you can take a very simple short percussive tone and just by tweaking a couple of the controllers, then you could send it into an infinite feedback loop that, you better be ready to pop your speaker volume down because it'll just go wild. And that's because Stefan set that up to be essentially the most advanced feedback instrument around, because that's what it lives on. So those are definitely my 2 go-tos that I have in the studio at the moment for doing stuff weird, just because they get there fast. Like we talked about, David said, certain instruments will take you to a place that, you weren't expecting, or they'll drag you kicking and screaming. And so those 2, for me, are definitely the top of my list. Someday, somehow, some way, when I learn the Egan matrix, the Osmos will fall into that, thing as well. But at the moment, it's not. So to ask you a thing that just popped up on the comment, one of the most interesting things when we were doing development of Montage 2.0 is looking at the other sound designers' work and approach to sound design to do weird stuff. And it was very much enlightening for me to pick apart Richard Devine's contributions and my contributions, because we got some very similar results doing things in a completely different way. Because I was sitting here doing all this meticulous detail, hard work, and constructing things from scratch up. And he just did some phenomenally creative manipulations of the DSP. So getting to Andy's point, DSP is another way that makes stuff weird. That's a whole nother, venue. And so when you have capable DSPs, they can take anything and make it weird, So I'm trying to slowly learn my Maris Mercury X on what it's actually capable of doing, because it is literally a DSP synthesizer in a box, and that's a whole different paradigm.
Well, like the X5 had that DSP algorithm, right? I remember mine's stolen, so I don't remember what it has in it, but it has that DSP mode in it that you can do weird stuff, right?
Correct. Yeah, that was called the FDSP, which
FDSP,
was
that's it.
Yeah, the FDSP, which did some very interesting things. But so I definitely like my model-based stuff, modeling-based sense, because they are very quickly down the weird rabbit hole, much more than a DX7 per se. But of course, a DX7 through a ridiculous algorithm you cooked up in your Maris is also pretty weird.
I've actually tried some of your weird VL patches. Stanford Karma has a VL1, and anyone can play. You walk in the lobby and just start.
Oh, that's right.
It's really nice.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
good stuff. So someone mentioned this in the chat. I have to show this because everyone knows the Tenorion is a weird virtual box. But what's so cool about it is if you can't get one and you can't afford it, you can also get the iPad version.
All right, that's interesting.
Oh, wow.
Because I remember trying playing it when it first came out, and I made no sense of it at all.
Yeah.
It was just at a show, I thought this is just bonkers.
Well, it's technically not a synth; it's a rompler, but every dot's 256, 16 by 16 is a sound. So, and there's three segments left for you to mess with an SD card, and so you can make it rhythm sets, whatever. So, I one of these days, I haven't actually made a track with it yet, but many years ago at the zoo I was working at, I sampled the parrot, all different weird sounds, and I made a parrot drum machine on here.
Hold it. You sampled the biologic sampler?
Yeah, exactly. It's very circular, and so yeah, it's a lot of fun. It took a while. Thank goodness for RX by Isotope, because I was able to de-reverb all the sounds, because it was in a very live room, and it's very loud, and every sound had these tails on it, and so I was able to take those out and make it more just discrete sounds. But yeah, you can do that, and I could show some other iPad apps. Talking about weird, there's a million weird iPad apps out there. So, and some are based on even normal interfaces, like isomorphic keyboards, right?
Oh yeah.
And this is one that's actually based on the omnichord. So you have a note here.
Yeah.
I can play this, right? And you strum it. So you can use this as a MIDI controller or use the built-in sounds. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, because this one's a simple isomorphic keyboard, but I don't have it with me, but the Axis 49 by See Through Music that went belly up many years ago. They have the whole honeycomb keyboard in front of you, and it's like, I think it's octaves. No, it's thirds going up, fifths going to the diagonally, and then sevenths going a slightly different direction. So you just work on shapes, and once you memorize your shapes, you can play anything you want, pretty much.
Yeah.
So fun stuff.
Yeah, I saw Ian just showing off the omnichord there.
It's actually it's the later version. It's the
Later
Q
version.
chord.
Ah, yes, because
It's got a slight fault, but and in fact, this is what I dug out of the garage this afternoon. Because I've not used it for quite a while, and plugged it in and made sure it actually all still works.
Has a guitar look to it. I love the guitar look.
Yeah, I mean that's how they show it. They show it because there's a where's the thing? There's a bend on it.
Right?
There's a bend.
It's
I mean,
it
I'll
looks
be
like
honest with you, I've never played it like that. I've always
it's a
felt
little
there it
wheel,
is.
right?
It's got a little wheel there. So the idea is that you sort of play it like that. So you're strumming it like that. I mean, I've never played like that. I've always played it on a table.
It looks like a hairdryer from Star Trek.
Yeah, and it's got. I mean, it has these cartridges that you put in it. I've only got the one cartridge. The idea being that they're normally just full of songs. This isn't. It's just a load of drum patterns, which was the only one I actually wanted to buy.
Yeah, I still miss my omnichord. Unfortunately, I left the batteries in mine, and they leaked and ate the motherboard.
Oh dear.
So that was the end of that one. That was otherwise that would have been on the show.
I think the original omnichord is better than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to work harder.
The MIDI one. Get the MIDI one. It's the OM200, OM300 series. They don't worry about the sounds. Put it in full MIDI mode and use it as controller for all of your gear. Because the strum plate on the MIDI omnichords is one MIDI channel for the whole strum plate. On the keyboard,
I need to
three
revisit
individual MIDI channels, hard baked.
The MIDI on this wasn't great. I probably need to.
That's why I didn't buy it,
go back and revisit it because
it's a fun
I couldn't make it do what I wanted it to do on MIDI.
Yeah, you can't
I wanted to just use it as a controller. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say but the weird instruments I do have. I was going to say that obviously the one was the Strega, but for a recent project I did, I needed to come up with some really weird modular type sounds. So I had sort of two instruments I think were weird. The first is this, and I then combined this with the was it the West Pest?
Oh, the West Pest. I've always
fancied two up together in interesting ways, and that was brilliant. And the other weird instrument I've got is the EO Wave Quadrantid Swarm, which can be a drone machine, but it can do a lot more than that as well. And the first time I ever saw one was at Super Booth, and it was in the woods. And so suddenly walking through the woods there, and suddenly found a quadrantid swarm wired up to a gong.
Oh wow!
You know, so instead of a speaker, they'd connect it to a transducer on a gong, and it was just. I was sitting there playing it and making these unearthly sounds. And EOWave now actually sell the gong. You can actually buy it from them. I bought one as a result because it's quite an amazing little machine. But also in terms of sort of weird instruments, I could also include the Korg Karma, because although it is just was one of the Korg synths, and it's basically the Triton engine, because it's got the Karma stuff in, which for those who don't know goes way beyond where arpeggiators can go and sequences. But also it's got the Moss board in it as well, so it does physical modelling as well. So it really is a sort of whole box of weird stuff. So it's
Karma's
that's
nice.
something I love. Although the only problem with the Karma is because the paint fades over time. So many times I've had people asking me why I've got a pink keyboard on stage. Like, it's not pink, it's red. Go away.
That's funny. So this one was brought up. This is the mini controller for it.
Yeah.
And this is weird because it's like dead flesh, right? But
Oh,
it's so
yeah.
damn expressive.
I couldn't get on with that.
It's so damn expressive. It's like a giant
Y25,
iPad. Yeah.
That's why I bought an instrument. I couldn't get on with it at all.
Yeah. Once you get your landmarks with your muscle memory, and then you go off rails doing all this kind of weird stuff, and then the dual ribbons.
Yeah.
Opposing
That's
ribbons, and of course the software is weird too because it does so many wonderful layering things and like Equator or some of the other.
Equator's a great synth, actually.
Yeah, but it's
that's one thing I did keep. I got rid of the Rolly, but I kept the Equator. I've only got Equator 1. But
and of course Osmos was mentioned, which is another great one. The engine is really. I mean, there's plenty of editing on board. To be fair, you don't have to go into the Hawken engine unless you're really like a masochist. But once you figure it out, it's also pretty cool. I just haven't had the time to delve into it.
because there's a little because Harken have brought out this little synth box, haven't they? Is it a micro? Which has got that. I'm quite interested in trying that with the instrument.
They have a modular version too, Ian.
I told you, it's never going to happen.
Put it in a little mini case, and it doesn't feel like modular.
No. I know. Well, I've got tons of guitar pedals. I'm doing modular. I'm doing Max MSP. I'm doing modular, but I'm not doing modular. If you know what I mean. I'm not buying Eurorack.
Oh.
I told you, Jane she'd divorce me. That would be it.
Only if you went off the rails. I mean, I stopped buying a long time ago because it just got broke. But,
what are rails, and what are you supposed to be on the floor?
Yeah, no.
But you could sample Eurorack.
You could.
Yeah,
I've done that.
Yeah, but I was just trying to convince him to get some Eurorack.
No, it's not going to. It's just not going to happen.
No.
I mean,
no. Those of us who see most things, people would say, "Oh yeah, I'm involved in that. You should get involved." Whereas us people who are involved in Eurorack go, "No, save yourselves. It's a slippery slope. Run away."
Yeah.
No,
I've been able to resist. I haven't bought one for a while, so.
I just saw a comment pop up and sort of left out. I guess I should pop it in here, even though I don't use it. The Iridium/Quantum is quite a weird instrument if you get into the live granular aspects of it, because it can resample and granularize itself on the fly. It's not something I've done, but I know some colleagues that mess around with that, and I've seen some demos of that type of stuff. And yeah, it's like live resampling granular is very much a very weird thing.
Also, anything used or developed by Heimbach, like Fundamental here? You guys seen Fundamental?
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. Based on test oscillators and stuff. And it gets really crazy really fast.
Yeah, his new Collide 4 is on my shopping list. So.
Yeah. And he's often a good source for finding weird hardware instruments that you've never seen before.
I did invite him, but he was busy
Yeah,
with
that's why I wanted to
game
throw
night.
it since he couldn't be here. Show one of his products.
The Iridium, I played a lot with it, and sometimes I give up. And sometimes I return to it. It's a strange instrument, I think. It's yeah. I like it, and I sometimes don't like it. So.
And back to the iPad, if you like Granular, there are like 40 different apps at least that do Granular. And the ones by ApeSoft are the weirdest. You just go completely bonkers off the rails.
My iPad's next door, but it's ApeSoft.
ApeSoft, yeah. Borderlands is a classic.
I love Borderlands. In fact, I've sampled Borderlands.
Exactly.
You know,
yeah. But ApeSoft it gets like really nerdy, and just get in the weeds and just do all the magic.
Yeah.
So, but even something simple like I've shown it on here before. I don't have it handy, but there's a thing called Sample Toy on iOS, and they have it on your phone, and allows you just to record and then run your whatever you think through some effects, delay, reverb, stuff like that. But because you can pinch the waveform and make it very, very, very tiny, and then like you can someone talking to it, like some kind of weird buzzy noise or note, and that's Granular, right? So it's
I think Borderlands is only Wag was just saying, is it about Borderlands being iPad only? I think it is. I don't think it works
the
on
interface
the iPhone.
is so big it has to be an iPad.
It doesn't work on the iPad, does it?
On the phone.
On the phone.
You wouldn't be able to. It's if you see the interface, because every module you drop in there has these call outs. These little
exactly
dots, and those are actually wheels.
Yeah.
So on here, it'd be impossible. You just
it would be. Yeah.
Yeah, don't make us into my noises.
I mean, I'm a big fan of GeoShred.
Yeah, GeoShred is
for MPE. Yeah, in fact, that works on a phone. That works really well. In fact, on yesterday, it was only Saturday, aren't we? This gig was in Wells, which is about half an hour from us, and we went and had Jen and I the afternoon went to the Wells Cathedral, and they've got this amazing. It's called the Undercroft, but it's actually it's up some stairs. But with a fantastic reverb, and I just got the phone out and I got GeoShred, and she was just playing a flute, as loud as I possibly could. It sounded amazing with the reverb in this room, which is great.
Yeah, they. That's also the easiest gateway to SWAM instruments.
Oh yeah, I've got them.
They're so.
I've got
cheap
all of them,
for
but
GeoShred.
they are. Yeah, I've got the cello, flute, trumpet, trombone, a few others.
There's GeoShred on the iPhone.
Yeah. It works really well.
Yeah. SWAM instruments. Have you seen the standalone ones on iPad?
No.
So they're weird because you have so much control over it. I've actually hooked that Silphio to it, and you can map all the parameters to the tilt and the twist and stuff. And because the interface, like a French horn or trumpet or trombone or whatever, you see all the keys in the interface, and you actually see there's like a little, you can pop in a mute thing, goes whoop, and then you get the mute, and then you can dial in all these different weird things to take it to another level beyond a beautiful brass instrument. I'm
sold now. That's it. I'm gonna have to spend some money, aren't I?
Yeah, they're not cheap, unfortunately. Each one's like $40 or something like that, or whatever it is. See if I can find it here. There we go. Here's the SWAM. Jeez, if it load. I think I have too many things open. Here we go. Here's the SWAM euphonium.
Oh, wow.
So all this control surface, and then the little keyboard at the bottom. And when you play the...
Okay.
And that's just running my finger up and down the keyboard. When you map all the controls, it's wicked. And it sounds beautiful. but it can get weird real fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, that goes back to what I was thinking about before the show, is the fact that what we think is weird might be different to what the general public think is weird. Because I was thinking back to the synths of the sort of 70s and 80s, and so many of them, all the presets on were fairly naff reproductions of real instruments. You know, and now we value things like the CS80 because of the non-real instrument sounds it can make. But at the time, they were trying to make it do stupid stuff, you know, and you know, so many times back then, I remember people say, you know, I'd be showing playing a keyboard, and people would say, "Does it have a good piano?"
Yeah, that's obviously. I remember,
and you know, and my first synth was the Ensoniq ESQ1.
Yeah.
And I remember on that trying to get it to reproduce sounds and thinking, and only now realising just how capable it was of doing the weird stuff. If only we'd sat there experimenting back then rather than trying to make another flute.
I mean, when I bought a Poly 6 and I spent a long time trying to get a really decent acoustic piano out of it, impossible. Absolutely impossible. Yeah. It was a bit better with the DW8000, but you know, but I spent a long time with that Poly 6 trying to make it. You know.
But then you hear Manny's piano with FM. It's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know. So yeah.
Oh, really? I haven't heard of that.
Oh, yeah. And then of course Roland had Funny Cat. You got to have Funny Cat. So.
Well, yeah, because there's all the stories, of course, about the original sound set of the Jupiter 8 before the Americans got their hands on it. You know, the first sound was a mooing cow and things like that.
Although EPS 16 Plus had a whole barnyard sample set, so that's great, right?
Of course it did.
What's the weirdest break you ever had? Oh, no. It was this one.
Yeah.
We're waiting for the name singing. Henry.
Actually, I have a weird instrument up here, actually, which is... I hadn't thought of this, but... If I can get it down. Just about to drop it. A circuit bent kid's toy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I have gigged with it live, and it was almost a disaster at one point because it's so unpredictable that half the time it wouldn't work properly. But so it's got a keyboard, it's got a couple of knobs that will, you know, there's no instructions, so you're not quite sure what you're doing. But one of them speeds it up and slows it down. The other one doesn't seem to do anything. But each of these things will do something different, including the back of it, which has got little pads. And just stick it through some effects and just mess around with it. And it sounds wonderful when it works. But it's so unpredictable that, I mean, I'm not... Oh, there's also a switch where I had no idea what the switch did. It didn't switch it on, I know that.
So you're saying when it didn't work, it didn't make any sound, or just made
yeah, well, when it didn't work, it wouldn't make any sound, and it would... the only thing that would work would be the switch, and it would go boom. So there's a video on my channel of me spending what seems like forever trying to get the thing to work,
stage,
and I'm pulling leads out, pushing leads in because it's not the lead, and it's just so unpredictable. But when it works, it's brilliant, you know, and very 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 unpredictable, you know. But you know, I should sample it at some point.
One of my favorite weird instruments is the Hartman Neuron, and I'll never afford the hardware, but the plug-in is really amazing.
I don't think I know about that, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds... It's like a combination of sampling and granular and some other weird synthesis stuff all mixed up together. Because they call it neural net synthesis, but there's always a debate. Is it really doing what it says it's doing? It does an interesting job of you make this model maker. You import sounds into it, and anything you want. I've made a few of my own models, and it basically converts that to amplitudes and partials and stuff like that. Kind of like the Camel Audio Chameleon 5000 app that was also very cool, where you can take a picture of yourself, convert it to a sound, just like you did in some other older apps. and you could have the partials right there, and you can actually start messing with the partials and the amplitudes of the sound, of the volumes, various volumes of the different partials. And it was really, really cool stuff. But yeah, Neuron is really, really wild. I mean, that's Ty loves his. I don't know how much he uses it, but he has a real one, and it's good stuff.
I remember this synth that Asia is talking about.
The Iris. I've got Iris. I've not really done much with Iris.
Iris is
actually.
good,
Yeah, I've got it.
So, muted. We'll talk about Ty, of course. He bought the Sonic Fismo recently, so it was
Fismo.
Fandrew, Fismo. So that's another weird synth.
Any of the Sonics can do the trans waves, the later ones.
Yeah,
Fismo has their own custom set,
right?
That you can't really change, but I did find some Fismo's trans waves on one of the Emu ROMs, actually.
Ooh, right.
So.
I think it's time for Manny. Am I right, Manny?
Yes, it is. I unfortunately need to hit some other commitments, but thanks for having me on, and hope my input was weird enough.
It's good to catch up. Good to see you, Manny.
And I will, thanks. And I will catch up with the stream later. So have a good one, everybody.
Good to see you. We're properly moved.
See you next time.
Yeah, stay weird.
Take it easy. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. And then I want to play this one. It should have said subscribe and liked in the end, but it didn't. Okay. David will return. He had to leave for a second.
Okay.
Let's take another view. This one. There. Oh, David, you're back. So back to the first view, like that.
I'm back.
Yeah.
Just 'cause I mentioned earlier, I'll show you guys Borderlands real quick. This is Borderlands. You get waves you can move around the screen, and then...
You're making me miss my iPad, Andy.
Oh, you don't have it anymore?
Oh, it's a funny story. I'll let you finish.
So this... why is it not... Sorry, my stretch isn't working the way I want it to. So above the wave that's playing, you get these little circle. And you can make it a little bit bigger than that. And each little dot is a parameter. And you can grab it and stretch it out like radially. And change just that one. And then you can have, everything has its own floating little controller. I've even had multiple controllers per wave, which is, I didn't know it allowed that.
It's amazing.
So I did by accident, and it's really crazy. Yeah. And again, anything you want to put in there, sound effects, stuff you've made, loops, somebody screaming, whatever you want to put in there, and it's crazy. It's a magical program, and it takes advantage of multi-touch for stretching and moving stuff around.
What's that other granular one? Is it Spacecraft? Space something?
Spacecraft is one. Actually, one of the original granular ones on here, Sampler without an E.
Yeah, didn't they just
allows it too? See that little zone?
Yeah.
That's our granular zone right there. And you can move it around.
Didn't they update that finally recently?
Probably. I have an old version.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
So it's actually, I can pinch, I can play individual things like notes. It'll do it'll find the transients and basically make notes for you, so you can play it like a keyboard. And get all weird if you want to. There's been granular stuff on iPad for at least 5 years, 6 years, something like that, maybe more.
It's amazing playground. the iPad.
And other weird stuff like strange interfaces with multi-touch and stuff with different zones. And let me play.
Yeah, that's cool.
And this one's based on the how close it is to the center, how fast it plays.
Right.
So you can move these discs around dynamically, and they're just drum sounds on this one. But you can do it with other things too. It's called Poly 2, and it's wacky. So much wacky stuff. And then of course, the Rolly has an app on here as well. If you download,
Yeah, I've got that. Yeah.
If you download the Seaboard app, it's your free gateway to Rolly. It's a free app. You don't even need the controller because you can use the screen.
No, I've used it with the instrument. It works really well.
And that too, yeah.
Yeah. If you
You can, there's some you can't really modify it that much, but you can buy some extra packs for it. And I bought all that I could for it. And I do use them from time to time. There's some really good sort of some modelling stuff in there.
Some like perfect world sounds, ethnic sounds and stuff.
Yeah.
Some really good crazy synthy sounds, hybrid sounds. There's a beautiful one that goes from choir to strings.
Yeah.
As you move up the keys, what they call slide, it morphs the choir to the strings.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice.
There's a company, I can't remember the name, and I can't remember the name of their softwares. They both make a drum machine for a very analog drum machine for both for the screen, but also for use with a company that makes hardware. I can't remember the name of any of them. The company that makes hardware started with a modular synth with a special design. Today they make, you have some, Ian, small keyboards with round buttons and Lego. And
the organelle.
Yeah.
Oh, Critter and Guitari.
Critter and Guitari, yeah. I mean, this is just wonderful.
Yeah, but what I'm talking about is a company that made a drum machine for one of their hardware things.
Oh, right.
The small print with a drum machine. What is it called?
See, it wouldn't be the Senior Synth stream without a senior moment. So
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly a senior moment. But that company makes other software. They make software that works like a plant, which is.
I know
now?
what you're talking about. Yeah, it grows like a plant, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Nick Bat did a video on that. I have it somewhere.
Bio something.
What the hell was it called?
Yeah, exactly. Now it's a senior moment.
Speaking of plants, I don't have it out, but you can also use
Synplant in the chat.
Synplant.
Yeah, Synplant. Yeah. I was thinking of that. Is that you, Tim, who makes that noise?
The click.
Yeah.
Don't know.
So I'm muted.
Okay, I'll try to find Synplant. Let's see.
Yeah, Synplant was fun. You can actually watch a little plant grow.
Yeah, it's from Sonic Charge. Yeah, and Sonic Charge makes lots of fun stuff. Here it is. I'll post a link in the chat.
Another photo I didn't take out, it's put away, but speaking of plants, there's a thing called Plant Wave that actually reads the galvanic response from plant leaves and stuff, and you can also use your hands because we also have our own galvanic response with your that's a lot of biofeedback machines use that for relaxation. And the more stress you have, the more resistive your skin is. So it changes the tone of the thing. So you can actually touch these leads or put them on a plant. I've done some streams with it where you hook these leads up and you go into this app, and it converts the plant's output into scales. You'll hard code them into scales and do some kind of nice little ambient synthy stuff. And then you just jam on top of that. While it's doing its jam, you actually play with a plant. So It's kind of fun, actually.
Yeah. But is it right that the resistance is bigger when you are stressed? Isn't it the opposite? Because if you're stressed and you're dripping of sweat, then
I might have it reversed, but it does. It's a direct effect, and that's how biofeedback machines work. You just have a tone that's like a ee, and as you relax, it goes ee. They're kind of annoying to listen to, but they tell you you're relaxing, basically.
Yeah.
How lie detectors work.
Similar to that. They have a component of that, yeah.
It's one of the first constructions you learn to build when you start with electronics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a couple of years ago at Superbooth in Struer had the same thing. They had all their whole tent full of equipment all being run off a plant outside.
They made a module that does the same thing. I forgot the name of it.
Yeah. So that was the start of the signal, and everything else in the back fed from that. So it was
But PlantWave is fun because it's battery powered, it's Bluetooth, and it also has wired MIDI. So you can take it in the field, hook it to any tree or any. If a dog will sit still, you can stick it on. They have like sticky pads. You can stick it on a dog's nose. So it comes with clips, pads, and some other connectors, and you can just 2 wires to connect to anything, and start making weird music based on an organism's output.
I have a dog down beside me here if you want to try it. So it's fine.
You just got to wipe the nose down so the stuff will stick. I don't think they like the alligator clips on the ears.
Yeah.
She will object.
Yeah.
Did anybody ever get that Coma Field Kit thing?
I have, the whole thing. Yeah.
See, seems like that would be a blast. If
There's 2 pieces. There's a controller piece that has a lot of stuff for more synthy type stuff and some effects and stuff. And there's another one that also has controls for servos, so you can actually control servo motors and attach it to like a drum head and have it go. Brr, 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 brr,
yeah, I remember.
And,
there was.
And it has a reverb tank that comes with it too. I got the whole kit. They had a deal a while back.
Wow.
Yeah.
And thanks to Heimbach. It's all Heimbach's fault. It makes me buy a lot of shit.
Yeah.
So.
But you're right about that audio thing stuff. Audio things. Is that who he goes through? I think. Man, he has some cool iPad effects. I mean, not just iPad; they're on the Mac too, but or on the PCs. But I've got 3 or 4 of them. They're all just amazing. So much fun.
Yeah, I mean, he'll pull stuff out of the woodwork, like the Suiko Japanese koto machines for poetry.
Yeah.
It's like I've never seen one of those before, and then all of a sudden he did a video on those, and now you start seeing them all over the place. So.
Yeah, you got to just go to really cool thrift stores, I guess. I don't know where you go. I have a lot of old friends, and you just go through their attics and everything. But no, he does. He has some really cool stuff. That Coma thing looks cool. I think the contact mics and all that stuff, I haven't done enough of that, but...
one of the fun things you can do with it is you can buy those sensors for Arduino on Amazon. There's a whole pack of sensors. Wire them up, hook it to the Coma Field Kit, and do other stuff like temperature sensor, humidity sensors, light sensors, everything. It's really fun.
Have you seen the? Because you just made me think about something that I've been hankering after for a long time, but it's quite expensive. Is the Folk Tech?
Oh, yeah.
Something garden, isn't it?
It's
resonant garden.
Resonant garden, yeah, I've seen that.
I mean,
it can get really nasty, noisy really quickly. So some people don't like that, but it would be fun to play with.
It would be definitely fun, but they're very expensive, I think.
They have like your thing that has the little wire sticking out. You can actually stroke the wires.
Because Synthfest, Ian Boddy, the electronic artist, he had it on his stall one year. And when Ian, what's that? He was showing me. It was just brilliant. Loved it.
I want Cord to come out with that electromechanical thing from Superbooth.
Yeah, from a couple of years ago.
It just died or something.
That looked really interesting. Yeah.
Well, they had the close to complete version last year, so just haven't heard.
Oh, they did? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the.
Might as well be a Kickstarter. It's taking forever to come out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it falls into one of those categories of it's an instrument that makes one sound. Does it very well, but only makes really one sound.
Right.
I bet you could do some weird stuff with it. Make it go off out of different left field kind of stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, did you see that the president of Korg died recently?
Oh.
Yeah.
A couple of days ago, he's died of illness.
Yeah.
He was only 67, so he's not,
Losing all those guys. Kakahashi and that guy. And...
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but I saw it in some feed, yeah.
Yeah, was he the son of the founder? I think it was something like that. Yeah, I think so.
Another one, I was just looking it up, that Tasty Chips. That like the Mega.
The GR1?
Mega.
Oh, the GR1, yeah.
Yeah, the GR1, and then they have a Mega. That's always really, it's pricey, but it looks like a lot of fun. An overpriced Granular.
It is, because you can use the app
Pretty
on the
much what
iPad
it is.
similar.
I know,
Yeah,
I
it's
know,
just,
but boy, if you want to get me something for Christmas, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would accept the over.
Do you remember the giant one they had for 2 players at one of those events? It was Super
Oh,
Booth
yeah,
or
the
something.
table mounted one.
Yeah, and you could use
Yeah.
these big sliders and move it
Yeah.
around. It was really cool.
But that always looks. I was looking at that. I put that under an inspiration machine purchase, to
Yeah.
get me playing again, and I was so close. My finger was like, I gotta do. Just backed off, but yeah, I was going down a rabbit hole with that one, just like researching it. And, like,
Have you seen the Ekdal moisturizer? That's a fun one.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that.
With the
That was-
springs. You
I
can
was-
stroke and play the
Yeah, I was-
springs. And...
I was totally thinking of that. I don't know why I feel like that came out of Baltimore, but I always feel like it does. But yeah, that's another one that's a good one. I've always wanted one of those. I'm just every time I see it, I'm like, God, I gotta get one of those things. I don't
Yeah,
know
the
why.
same company
I'm
made
surprised I
the
haven't got
the
it. Why haven't I got it?
what was the one called? Dave Spears had the synth, and then he sold it to Robbie Bronneman. It's a really rare thing. The Polygamist, Ekdal Polygamist.
Yeah, that's
That thing
right.
was wacky.
I remember hearing about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they still make that? Is that
No, it was.
Are they out?
It's, the website's still up, but it's been a dead project
Yeah.
forever. 'Cause it's like this, kind of like the same stuff. All these microtonal things, like the HPi controller that looks like Lego pieces and strips, and you get all the microtonal bits. It's like a totally non-standard keyboard.
NOS. That's their name. NOS Music.
Yeah,
Well, the moisturizer. Are they?
that's a great name, right?
Yeah.
What are you
It
searching
is.
up there, Dave?
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
I
It
saw it on a
just
perfect
sounds-
circuit. I had to
It's
play
worse
it.
the more you think about it. It's
Yeah.
like some weird machine.
You think of Silence of the Lambs. It puts the lotion
Yeah,
on its skin.
thank you. I was trying not to go there.
Yeah.
I
But
really
yeah,
want-
Perfect Circuit is a great place to walk around or look on the website for all weird stuff. They often
Yes.
have a lot of weird stuff there.
Yeah, you can do a lot of really cool on that. That's right. When we were just talking, I jumped on there and I was thinking of that one. I was like, oh,
Also the Seat Lombard, like the Coco Quantus and all those weird
Yeah.
like wooden things with banana jacks, and those are whacked out.
it's like all the real OG kind of weird stuff from like 15, 20 years ago that
Yeah.
all the noise artists, everybody was jumping on.
It just looks like a sculpture out of wood, right? People go, oh no, you actually play the wood. Yeah, they're actually keys.
So much fun.
You know.
Well, speaking of wood, the thing that's always top of my shopping list I want to get in terms of weird synths, and I can see one beside Ian there, is the Soma Terror.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just. It's
Couple
just-
of-
I love playing that. That was my favourite synth
Yeah.
to play.
These are beautiful.
Yeah, you got one
so
as
much
well.
fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
He bought one, and then, of course, what did I do? I've got to keep up with the synth addicts. You know that. No, I mean we've both been after one for a long time, and
Yeah. The moment I played it at NAMM, I was like, oh, I gotta get one.
I was the same.
Yeah,
Same at
it is
He's like,
synth.
how much is it?
Yeah. I know. I was drawn to it straight away.
Yeah.
Although it's taken me 18 months to actually get one.
That whole company is great for weird instruments.
Absolutely.
I love the Enner.
Yes,
with all the metal
yes.
contacts, and you can put like steel wool on there and get all kinds of
It was funny because the last time when I first saw the edit, bless him, Dom Harkin showed me it. He was working from that, and that's and I'm going, what's he do? Dom? He went, I have no idea, but isn't it wonderful? And it was. We not neither of us. We were both there messing around with it. Got no idea what we're doing. It was just lovely,
Even Dom made weird instruments and effects like Incinerator.
He did, yeah.
And he had that really cool thing called Snuggle Sounds. I still have it on my iPad, but unfortunately, you can't get them anymore. They're out of the stores. But Snuggle Sounds is actually really deep. I did a video on it once, about 6 months ago, maybe a year ago, showing all the weird parameters inside of Snuggle Sounds for layering.
Do you still have
that's Dom's Lara 8, which I bought from his estate. So I'll never sell that.
I never got a chance to buy any of his stuff. I don't know if it's still for sale or not.
There's still, I think there's still a few things left. I'm not sure, but it's not all gone. I think it's in Ty's garage at the moment.
Studio 5.
Yeah. So there may still be some things around.
Yeah. I've got his Strymon Blue Sky.
Have you?
Nice.
Yeah. I have a delay of his. I gotta pull it out. I don't know what I did with it. It's like I forgot what it is now. It's an old delay box, but I got the power converter and everything, so maybe I'll...
Oh, was that one he had, the King Tubby one of those things?
Wasn't... No. God, I'm just...
He had some weird one that was used by a lot of the guys, the old guys in the Caribbean.
I'm going to go find it real quick.
Steve Elbow's just mentioned the Soma pipe. You've got the pipe, haven't you, Andy?
I got a pipe, yeah. I would get the whole Soma collection if I could afford it. Pulsar 23 is really cool, but it's too much money.
I haven't spent enough time with it. It's here, and I need to spend more time with it. And I keep dragging it out, and I do a bit with it, and then
it's
something
just too
gets
expensive.
in the way.
I can't afford it. So
it's so I need to spend more time with it and really get to know it, and I don't know it, and that's the problem.
But the pipe is wicked because it's also an effects box. You don't have to use the contact mic and play it with your mouth. You can actually plug in the jack, any instrument, and it's a whacked out effects box. It's super cool.
Yeah.
I was going to mention the Pulley and Dreadbox Medusa, but it's not weird after all. It
looks weird.
Yeah, but it's just advanced. Because you can program a patch per button, and you can sequence the buttons.
GHS, yeah.
Yeah, so you
John
can...
Hornby Skews, yeah. Wow.
I had to get this. Well, I didn't have to, but I got some sort of converter thing.
Yeah.
Oh, you would do because it'd be 240 volts.
Yeah, I have a big thing for...
I mean, this is kind of heavy.
Yeah.
It's very heavy.
I know. So the whole setup's a little wacky, but I have a feeling it's going to be amazing. So
I have a big power supply for this Arabic synth I bought. That's European.
I mean,
power. It's just this massive box.
Yeah.
I just saw it on the list of stuff, and I wanted to get something just kind of really unique.
Yeah.
There's something that I was like, I bet he's had this a long time.
That must be from the 80s because
Yeah, I bet he's got some cool stories.
JHS are still in business, but they're really just a distributor now because we used to deal with them. They were quite close to us when we were in Yorkshire. They were over at Leeds, so they were like 40 miles away from us. I went to the factory a few times.
I didn't even realize it has a mic input.
Yeah,
but of course it's quarter. But I can't wait to use it. I love delays, and I love old delays, digital.
Yeah. That'd be really great, actually. I bet because when they made their own instruments, because they did back in the early 80s, they made like a Syndrome, a JHS Syndrome, which I think Jason Jarvis has got one, and they're brilliant. They're absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
No, I remember getting on and reading about them because I didn't know. I was like, who is this company? And it sounded like they had a good reputation in the day.
Very much so, yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of my weird stuff. Just I love old digital effects too. I have a bunch of Effectrons.
Oh yeah,
I love those. I think they're still gems. They have I don't know what they do, but it just sounds so cool. It's a lot. I guess it's a lot of those 12-bit. Is that what they are? Most of them were, yeah. Yeah,
8-bit or 12-bit.
Yeah, you get in that zone, and it was just a really great time. for delays. And they're just kind of a little dirty. It's just not.
I love a good delay that does proper feedback where you can just make it almost blow your speaker out. So
one of them has I don't know how long it is, like a 1 second loop.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's like what. It's so ridiculous because it's so fast, but it's such a great. You can't help but just mess with it and try to get something. You're just like, God, even 2 seconds, so much more. It's just like da 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 da. You're just like, what was this for? But I love that they did stuff like that. I'm sure there's probably more creative. Maybe I just got to hold it and then just
Well, does it have a hold mode? Because I had a
yeah.
Digitech one that had an infinite hold mode.
Yeah, that's what
it
this
just
has.
acts like a loop. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but it's like it only samples or whatever for it's fast, so you can't really get like go you get like
Well, that's why I had a Chaoslator Pro for a while, which is basically a Chaos pad with a Chaoslator and a really nice little interface. And it's a great looper, a 4-part looper and stuff, but it only does I think it's only like one measure or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, come on, you could do more than that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it can kind of do something a little bit like weird in the sense, because it's just not typical.
I used it a bunch until I got sick of the short things because things got really repetitive.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, I had the small one.
You gotta have like another. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you gotta have like a little sub mixer that you can mute and then just kind of.
Yeah.
Maybe. There's always a workaround.
I love this one. It has a small bug when you put it in ping pong, where you can't adjust the dry wet level. But besides that, it's a really good reverb and very cheap.
Yeah,
is that one of the Amazon ones?
No, Joyo is. They're not. I've got a Joyo guitar effect thing. Their stuff's pretty good actually, and it is quite reasonable. Yeah, they're not expensive.
Yeah. And it sounds really good.
Yeah.
I feel like was it Red Panda? They had a couple really cool.
Oh yeah, heard a lot of stuff.
Pedals. Yeah, I wouldn't mind having that whole collection. Probably not good for me to say that. I'm trying to think what else. There was definitely some cool pedals that were coming out for a while like that. What else? What else was there? Let's see if I can find some.
Yeah, I have a lot of weird pedals that are mostly put away, but they can be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Use Microcosm quite a bit. But
I'm using that more and more.
yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm looking for some cool.
I love these ones.
Yeah, I've got that too.
I haven't bought any of the new ones.
No, I've got the old one.
Yeah, they were much cheaper than the new ones, and
Yeah.
I think they do the same.
I think there's a bit. Isn't there a bit more memory in the new ones? Because I know I've been able to sort of. Because when you stack the programs up, I've been able to run out of memory on mine.
Yeah.
But they're great actually. They're dirt cheap and they're really really good. I mean,
yeah, and they are hacked, so they're easy to program with software.
And actually, I think the organelles are really good for as an effects pedal. I've used this as an effects pedal a few times. That's really really cool. That's why I've got it out again, because I'm going to try it with the Terra and try some of the patches that I've got built into it.
Yeah, I like those too. That's another one I've always wanted.
Yeah, I mean, I bought it originally because I could program in Max MSP, and I was hoping to sort of they would be able to port Max MSP patches, but I can't. I have to write them in pure data, which I'm not. It's slightly different, but some of the language is different, so I don't really know pure data.
I got rid of it, but that Continue Mini from Hawken was really.
Oh yeah.
That
felt. it felt weird when I played that.
Yeah.
It was
the whole
really
movement, the whole thing.
Yeah, it
moves.
was almost too much movement. Yeah,
it was very unpredictable.
yeah.
And then
I like the sound of the engine though.
Yeah, you know, it just each sound like had different levels and sensitivity, and I'm sure if you put a lot of time into it, and probably the bigger ones are way nicer. I like the idea of the small one, but
they are, but you really have to watch the whole time because there's no landmark other than visual.
Yeah.
So if you want to play proper notes on it, you have to just constantly watch, because how do you do muscle memory on something that has no landmarks?
But that being said, it is kind of a weird instrument, and it's
very much so.
It's very, you know, it's hard. I don't regret trying it. That's for sure. It was really cool to get. I was excited, and I had some, you know, it's kind of like I used it a while, and I was like, okay, I get this. This is fine. I don't need it.
And if you're playing through their wooden resonant speakers, those are really cool.
But that's what I want.
Yeah.
Is that the ones? Oh yeah, don't even get me going there. Because I've got this really, that's all part of my plan.
Yeah.
The wish list.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
I build my acoustic. Yeah.
I never got to grips with the Continuum keyboard, so I bought a little Rolly instead. But want to get the Osmos at some point.
It feels like the.
I mean, if I wasn't so invested in the instrument and I was looking to buy again, I would definitely be looking at the Osmos. I've played it a couple of times, and it surprised me. I really liked it.
I think I pre-ordered it. I like the later pre-orders, not the original Great Deal pre-order.
Yeah.
And then
the only problem I had with the Osmos is that every time I played it, I got carried away with the bending, and everything I played turned into Middle Eastern music. So.
Yeah, you have to go in and dial it back. You can do the training wheels mode.
Going too far, yeah. So.
But you get used to it. I use full key sensitivity, and you get used to it after a while. Occasionally I get carried away, and one thing you have to think about when you're doing chords and something, and on a piano or an older synth, you don't have to worry about your key spread, because your fingers just go down, and sideways movement using the abductor muscles doesn't matter, right? But as soon as you push down, the slightest little movement in your fingers that you're taking for granted goes, it's just like a cow dying. So
that's definitely one I'd like to, if I had somebody close by, I would like to borrow it for like a month or two.
Yeah.
Just really kind of get a feel for it. I'm sure I would like it, but I'm sure you understand a lot of these things just don't have any practical. I just don't know how to integrate them, and they end up just being nice, beautiful museum pieces. Which
that's why I use mine with the looper. It cries out for layering, and it doesn't play well with some other instruments, so I just play it by itself with the looper.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I could see that. I did get this, and I know we're getting off of the. Just got this little black box.
Is that a black box?
Yeah, somebody was. One of my local friends was selling his, so it was a very reasonable price. And another one of my friends had just borrowed it, and then put a bunch of sounds on it. So
it's a great little portable sampler. Yeah.
It's like, I feel like I just gotta set aside some time for it. Usually the real good stuff I like, I don't use them right away. I kind of sit them there, and I'm like. And then finally, I'm getting that excitement though. I'm like, I think I'm ready to learn it, because I really want to. It's really deep. It's cool.
It's basically like the old school SP404, because it doesn't have velocity on the touch pads, but it acts just like one in a lot of ways. It's really fun to use.
I used to have the 303, SP303.
Yeah.
So I never did much with it, but
It's fun. I had some lo-fi modes and stuff.
Yeah.
It was cool. Unfortunately, mine got stolen in that thing too.
So. I sold mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the subject, because I noticed that more and more now people want the expression in their keyboards. After we've got through things like the Osmos, etc., but even now on normal keyboards, and it got to the ridiculous extreme that I was watching a review of what I considered to be a budget keyboard, and the person reviewing it was complaining because it was only channel aftertouch, not poly aftertouch on the keyboard. It's like, seriously, for that price?
Yeah.
You know what's funny though? The CME X key little keyboards,
Oh,
those
yeah,
are
yeah.
poly aftertouch, and they're cheap.
Yeah.
So they could do it, they just aren't doing it. Right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, like, ultimate example, they've got the Hydrosynth Explorer there. You know,
Yeah.
got, poly aftertouch on mini keys.
It's great.
Insane.
Yeah, I feel like almost every studio should have that synth. you know.
At the moment, I've got 2 of them. So I've got
Oh, really?
the 49 down here,
Yeah.
and then I borrowed my friend's desktop to use with a little instrument. So yeah, I mean, if he wants to sell it, I think I'm going to buy it because I don't want to go gigging with the big one, but I'll take that, because I am looking for something to use for the hardware with a little instrument rather than just using the iPad all the time.
At a time, I did consider if I should sell everything and only have a studio full of hydrosynths.
Wow, yeah. I mean, as everybody keeps saying, it's been 5-6 years since they've had anything from them, really. So there must be something that they're hiding.
It's like a diary,
Well,
February 12th.
Yeah,
24.
yeah.
There are
I
rumblings.
think I've cracked the code,
Yeah.
Hydrosynths everywhere.
Yeah.
You got like sketches and you're just, it's like March 2nd. You're on to something new.
Yeah, at the recent shows, people have been hoping for something new from them, and they turn up with a special edition orange version.
Orange
of
one,
Hydra.
yeah,
It's
which was just
so bad on the eyes.
That's pants.
I didn't like
It's
it,
just like, God,
So archaic.
turn the volume control down on it. It's too loud,
What is that?
I do like orange though.
They must have had some marketing to tell them that was a good thing, though. I mean, they wouldn't just go
orange
through all
is,
that work.
there's a place for orange. There's definitely a,
I just think they did the silver and then got carried away. So.
It would do very well in the Netherlands. They love orange, right? So
Well,
Yeah.
get worried about being able to read, with the lettering. I don't mind the orange, but why not do a whole slew of colors, man?
Well, that's kind of why, like
Why
on the
not?
GDXI, I like the light colored one because red on black text is just.
oh
it's not.
that's
I mean, that
slightly bad on the
Explorer's
eyes as well.
Like I said, it's kind of a standard now. You might as well just bling it out every year. Give us a new color.
Yeah.
Probably blow them out. I think.
Yeah, like the Cork Minilog XD. Yeah.
Arturia likes to do it, with
Yeah.
give you
Well,
that
Cork
warm-
did it in the 80s too with the Poly 800.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It was a reversed version.
That's when you want your whole studio, Henrik. You get all the colors. It's like
Yeah.
all the colors of the rainbow all around your studio. All your hydrosynths.
Yeah.
Not a bad idea. I remember when
Yeah,
the Volcas came out, and me and my buddy were going to go all Volca, and just do all our live. We really should have, because like everything would have been synced, and it probably would have been amazing.
It is quite fun to
I
use all
have,
of the
I
vocals
have one
together.
word. I have one word for that, or it is too badass.
Yeah.
I've set up a bunch of them on a table before. It is daunting when they're all going at once, and you have to fiddle with all these little things.
Yeah, I
keep track of
quite
everything.
enjoyed it because
It's fun, but it's also a lot of work.
really well together, and it's just it's very easy.
Well, but the flip side is like you got totally different instruments not synced,
Yeah,
and talk about that's chaos.
Yeah, and when
play
you haven't
live,
played
and
one for a few months and you return to it, you have to learn it. If everything is the same, it's easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, back in the dark ages, the days before MIDI.
Yeah. When you had one synth. Yeah. Tim, you do a lot of patches. What is the weirdest patch you've ever done?
Weirdest patch. I think it was on library I did last year, and the actual resulting sound sounded like Morse code, but the sound source it was made from, it was only made from a single oscillator, and the sound source was a jazz singer.
Oh wow.
But so that's probably the weirdest one.
Yeah,
because it's like yes, here's the patch, but try and guess the sound source. What it's actually made from. That's probably the weirdest one. I mean, obviously, it's. I have to admit, I probably play too safe generally with my patch design. But I probably should go weirder. But obviously, you think you want your patches to be playable unless they're sound effects. So I did. I've done one where I sat down and actually recalculated using synthesis an air horn. It was fun. So.
I remember I did.
Why use a sample when you can spend hours resynthesizing it?
Yeah. I remember I did one once where I sampled a chicken, but I can't remember what it sounded like. It's 5 years ago or something like that. But it was weird, that's for sure.
Yeah, another. I did.
I think you've heard it, Tim.
Yeah, probably yes. Yeah. I did one in the library I've just released where the resulting patch is quite a sort of driving EDM percussion, very metallic percussion rhythm, and it's actually samples from a metal staircase in a holiday cottage in Norfolk, just reassembled into this to this rhythm. So it's samples are just weird. I did one sample last year, which was went to a museum and had one very big room in this museum with a very big heavy door, and when this door slammed, it made quite a heavy percussive hit. So I sampled that, and it's in the end, all I did was add for the final patch was just add a little bit more reverb for a very big percussion hit. But it just sounded great on its own. So as soon as you start. I carry a record around all the time just in case, because you never know when you're going to find something just really weird.
Yeah, probably about 10 years ago, I was in a staying at Edinburgh Festival Fringe and in this tenement block, and the big wooden door just sounded amazing. So I had to record. I recorded that, and I've used that a few times.
David. You haven't presented the cats yet.
The cats?
Yeah.
Here we go. Come here. You want to come here? There's always one around.
Yeah.
It's not a question of whether there are any cats. I think I had the door shut. Oh, this one doesn't. All right. This one's called Chonks.
Chunks. Oh, wow.
Look at that look.
That's brilliant.
Oh, that's where she stores all her love. That's what we say. Yeah, she's good. She's a good sweetie. Just like Steve. Yeah, so there you go. I got more, but I got slightly more synths than cats.
It's just balance, isn't it? You've got to balance. Yeah,
exactly. Plenty of each.
Yeah, cats and synthesizers, they're just made for each other.
So cat life balance
Yeah, cat synth balance. Yeah, they're pretty. No, they're cool. They're fine.
Have you ever sampled your cat?
One of them I did Clee, but she passed. But none of these other, they're not sample ready yet.
You have to do a keyboard cat thing where you put it in the shirt and move the arms so it's.
You can't just let a cat come in here and get sampled. They got to work to that level. But we got a couple of kittens that run around here too. I had the door shut. I think the door's finally open. I had it shut for a while, so they were probably all pissed.
Yeah,
couldn't get in. Everybody wants to be in here for some reason.
Yeah, it's when you're enjoying yourself, when you have a good time, relaxing, then they come.
Yeah, they'll come over like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah, it'd be really fun. You know the sound the cats make when they see the birds or squirrels in the window? Like,
oh yeah, that
little mouth going like that.
Yeah, that's so fun.
Run that through Granular, right? So
I know. I really should catch some of that stuff more. I used to be really good. I used to just record and all that stuff. And then
You have to do what I do with a parrot. You have to leave a recorder in the room and walk away.
Yeah.
And then just come back. Because when I was in the room, sometimes it wouldn't do all the funny noises.
Yeah, they got. By the way, the Ectol moisturizer are available at Perfect City, $4.25.
Yeah.
In stock.
There you go.
Yeah. That's a little dangerous.
Yeah.
It's really dangerous.
Sadly, I'm going to have to go, guys. Because I'm going to have to go and do an Ian, if that makes sense. It makes sense to some of you.
Was it the moisturizer comment? Or
It was the moisturizer.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what did it, yeah. Down the cats.
Yeah. Too much Dave.
I've enjoyed this. This has been great fun. So definitely a great subject. So well done.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't bring out your Thomas the Tank Engine.
Oh, it's up there. All right, just before I go, I'll bring up the Thomas the Tank Engine.
Can you play it real quick? I want to hear what it sounds like.
Yeah, I can. Just a sec.
Keep them for a couple more minutes.
Yeah. Hey, what about that?
Yeah.
So,
Oh.
so what we normally you plug it in. It's got a. We just get it to near the mic.
Sounds good.
Let's play. Let's play. Follow the light.
Oh, that first one. Let's play Follow the Light. That would be good for some ambient trance.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you could just put that at the beginning or have a break.
Yeah.
It's great when you've got loads of reverb on it.
So is it just dedicated buttons with the sounds, or is it?
Yeah. And because there's like 3 banks, and
Okay.
it's basically a game, if I tell you that way. So there's each one's a game, and then it makes a different sound when you lift up the handset, and this one here, the fat controller, I think he is.
So Ian, if you come out, this is just an idea. If you come out with like a Thomas the Tank mask,
Yeah,
thing, you know what I mean?
yeah.
No, dressed as the
That
conductor,
would be
right?
great.
You
Yeah.
do the conductor bit.
Absolutely, yeah.
As what was it?
That's entertainment, folks.
Yeah, and actually,
Was it
one of
Ringo
the
Starr as
patches,
the conductor? Wasn't he the?
one of the patches has got all the names of all the trains and everything. There's only one female train, which is Emily.
Yeah.
So
Emily.
there we are, Emily.
Hey, Emily.
Let's learn and have fun. Calling all engines.
It's just,
That's
just
great.
I mean, it was. I think I paid 30 quid for it on eBay. Nobody else had bid for it. It was just great, you know. And I've had loads of. I mean, the only problem with it is you can overuse it. So I've done a few gigs with it, you know. But
Well, if it's tweaked enough, you could, right? I mean,
Okay.
oh yeah,
Better to
it's
overuse
fair use once you've
and underuse it.
transformed
Yeah.
it. I think.
yeah, exactly. I mean, I can do all sorts of things with it. I should probably sample it and actually then do other things with it, you know. It's sample everything on it because there's stuff that's you know.
It keeps going. You're like, shut up.
Yeah, hello, you there? yeah.
I feel like I've wasted years learning music theory.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
just it's great.
Yeah.
Oh, it's still going. It's still bloody going.
I have the speak and spell, speak and math, all those things, but I didn't
Yeah,
modify them. I just kept it
Yeah.
normal. So.
Yeah, it's just and all it is that whoever's modified it, it's just it speeds it up and slows it down. But it's just so much fun, you know. All right, stop now, stop. Right, and on that note, guys, I'm off.
Thanks.
So
Ian.
thanhanks
That's
very
fun.
much for inviting me. It's been great to see you all.
See
You're
you,
always
Ian.
welcome.
Take care.
Yeah, see you later. See you later.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Bye in the chatties. See you later. Cheers to that.
Oh, that's cool.
They had there was a really dark episode I saw where the train was misbehaving. They locked him behind a brick wall, and he had like a sad face. I'm like, this show's brutal, man.
I do. I sort of remember that.
Yeah,
It's a really great show, though. I really enjoyed it.
it's
I
a
can't
little
do
bit of a
so much.
creepy element to it.
Yeah. I don't know why I liked it. It was cool.
And of course, they had the one here with Alec Baldwin. Remember that one?
No.
They had an American version. Alec Baldwin was a conductor.
Oh, good grief.
I see that.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't sound good.
Because they have to bring stuff over here and
It just
modify it.
we rarely can. Yeah, it's not. No, that's funny though.
I always thought Americans loved the British accent, but or was it they can only cope with Brits being villains and things? So,
Or it has like a really strong accent, right? Can't be a mild one. Like Ramsey has a very mild Australian accent, but we all have like Paul Hogan and all these like heavy Australian accents and a lot of stuff here that people expect these extreme accents.
Yeah, I don't know why we love it so much, but we do. We definitely like those. I think the articulation's so great. It's just like.
Good
Weird instruments can also result in weird songs. Have you ever come home from a party or something like that and done a song on a weird instrument and the next day found out that was weird?
I did some collabs with a friend years ago before he moved out of the area. That was intentionally weird. They were like soundscape jams, and it was fun. Just like throw all these bonkers things together and see what happens. And it was fun.
I mean, I will say, I definitely have like songs I create that I try to push the envelope a little bit with the weirdness, but I rarely release them because I guess what you're saying, Henrik. I kind of romanticize them, and there is some interesting things, but then I kind of go, okay, I'm getting exhausted.
You want to be known as that guy making weird sound stuff.
Well,
right?
I get exhausted, and if I'm exhausted, then I kind of have to try to put myself in there.
When you work with a song, do you? I do, but do you ever get to a point where this sounds boring? Let's do something weird.
Inject some weirdness in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Absolutely, all the time.
yeah.
And that's usually a bad sign because the song's already boring.
Yeah.
Well, I like throwing a little
you know
weird
what I
stuff in the
mean?
hardware jams, the weekly hardware jams thing. I threw a little weird shit in there once in a while, just some flavor, a little bit of flavor.
Yeah, well, it's different if, it can be a beautiful texture, but and I think that's what happens sometimes. I think, I'll just make this more interesting, but it's still lacking. I mean, a lot of times the weird stuff is still interesting. It just doesn't stand alone, I guess. You know what I mean? Like you go, that's kind of cool. And then honestly, a lot of times a good trick is to isolate it and either use it as an intro or kind of let the weird just be by itself. And then sometimes it works really cool. I remember we had this one song I did with one of my friends, and I don't know what I did, but it kind of made this weird scream. It sounded kind of like an owl to him, and he heard it on the playback, and he said, "My God, I don't know what you were doing," but he separated it, and that became the introduction to the song, and by itself it was like, ooh, that's cool, but it was quick. It was a couple seconds of weirdness, kind of to set the tone. But yeah, I've definitely done that, Henrik, where I don't tend to. It's fun to be weird, but it's.
Yeah, but sometimes it can be subtle, like it can only be, or it can be only some notes changing a scale or something, doing something.
Put some dissonance in there or
not
something.
Expected.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that on a track recently where I had this really, really interesting synth sound just going off slightly wild towards right at the end of the track, and it was by far the best thing about the track. It lifted the track completely, and I thought, that's fine, but someone's had to sit through 2 minutes of boredom first before they get to this. So I then reworked the sound and put it back at the beginning as well, just so that there was not having to wait all that time before you get to something actually interesting to listen to.
But I love the conversation, Tim. Like with yourself, you're like, yeah, that's all well and good, but I've got 2 minutes now to
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's one of those things where when you listen back to a track and you think, actually, that's really dull.
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny how you can change it, be in a bad mood and then, or in a more critical mood.
Yeah.
And you come down, you're just like, I don't like that. I don't like that either. I don't like that. And you're just like, oh gosh, this is not a good time. Or maybe it's a great time. Maybe this is the.
I'm definitely one of those people that can work late into the evening on a track and think this is one of the best things I've ever done, and then the following day thinking, what was I thinking?
Oh man, I still had this one. I think when I did it, I was like, this is it. This is a masterpiece. I kind of blended all this stuff, and I heard it in my thing, and it was like, wow, this is moving this way. And then I was there was a melody I had sort of intentionally stolen from a Paul McCartney song, just a little part of it, and I was weaving that in. And I was like, this is either brilliant or like or rubbish. And time has not been friendly. The sound, the textures, everything feels good, but then when you put it all together and listen to it, I just hit exhaustion after about.
This is the same reason we can't trust juries, because we have these moments of madness and bad memories, and
Yeah. Please tell me it was a good Paul McCartney track.
I think it was off of Silly Love Songs, to be honest with you, and I think it was one of the part of one of the counter melodies of the harmonies. You know how they have all the different harmonies going, so I comped one of them. And the first thing, no one noticed, right? It was a disaster from a final product standpoint, but the idea was fun. It was a lot of fun. You know?
Actually, I forgot to mention one of the oldest weird instruments is synth is a theremin, which is so much fun.
Yeah, it is fun.
And it's a great controller too. Now you can do MIDI theremin and control things and get all crazy.
Yeah, you could do some cool stuff.
I hooked up a bizarre pitch to MIDI interface to my old Moog Etherwave theremin many years ago, before any theremins had MIDI. Just had CV, and it was a lot of fun controlling like a virus with it, some other stuff.
It's kind of like playing with the resonance on a filter, and it can be really cool, but it can also be really harsh, and you really have to like.
Oh yeah.
You got to set it right, but it can be really interesting too.
But in the normal mode, it does sound like a female voice. It can be quite beautiful.
Yeah.
You get the tone just right and the vibrato just right. It sounds.
Yeah, theremin live, like a good theremin players.
Yeah.
It's really.
That's why it took off so well in some of those old movies.
And it's a great accompaniment. It doesn't have to be a lead instrument. It really sets a.
I think the first use was actually Lost Weekend with Ray Milland. It was about an alcoholic, and he had moments of madness in the mirror, and it started coming in there, and just made people go, ooh, that's kind of weird. What is going on there? And then all the 50 sci-fi stuff started stealing it.
Oh yeah.
I remember seeing Lena Lovett years ago. She had it was like a 3 or 4 piece, but she had a live theremin player the whole show, and it was like a really good venue, and it just blew my mind. I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like I just don't hear, just like coming out of left field. I'd heard a theremin, kind of knew what it sounded like, but I never heard it like in context of a ensemble like that.
Yeah.
Incredible instrument. Has anyone used any things like the MIDI rings or MIDI gloves sort of thing?
Yeah, I have the Nuova ring.
It's always Andy.
Well, yeah.
No,
I buy stupid shit, so. But the Genki one I think is better. The Nuova is no longer made. It's another one of those things that died. But it's clever. It has a little case, and you put the ring on, and then it has this little box, and it's really designed to be used with hardware. You don't need an interface or all that kind of stuff. You can hook it to a computer and do stuff with it. But it has 4 modes. So you have like this kind of arcing mode for one thing, and then this motion for another thing, and then this rise and fall stuff. So you can have 4 different modes turned on at once, totally different modulations, and just you kind of memorize what you're doing with your hand, and And as you're playing the keys, drift around, and you can do some pretty wild stuff. So you can add vibrato to something that doesn't have a pitch bend mod wheel, which is super cool.
Yeah.
You have that wave drum, and that thing is
Oh, wave drum's great. The wave drum,
really
there are
cool.
several versions of it, but
Yeah.
the wave drum global is the best. It had the most exotic presets in it.
So cool.
And also, they fixed the volume. If you get the silver wave drum, the original like second release wave drum, it had a volume out issue. It was very weak, so you had to crank it on an amp. But they fixed it on the wave drum global, so that it's incredibly expressive. But A-frame still wins, but I do love the wave drum. It's really cool.
Yeah, that's just that's a neat one. Really cool instrument.
Because each preset is different. Like you think, oh, I'm going to press and I'm going to get a pitch change. No, sometimes you press and it brings in like a whoosh, like another sound.
Yeah.
Or like a water running or some kind of layering going on. It's really bizarre.
Yeah, it is. It's a really neat instrument.
And it has contact mics in the frame too. So you can like knock on the frame with while you're playing with your hand here, you can knock on the frame or use a stick. And they even put these little gyro nibs on the edges of it. There's fat ones and skinny ones, and you go to trigger your sounds that way. So it's kind of fun.
Do you think it was way ahead of its time, or just?
Oh yeah. No, it's.
Yeah.
I mean, overused term, modern classic, but
That's kind of how I look at it.
because they have the original one at Karma. I was talking about the VL1 and some other stuff they have in the lobby you can mess around with. They have the original Korg wave drum, which is really kind of weird looking. It looks older, and I don't think that one ever really took off. I never saw it anywhere. But you see a lot of the modern wave drums all over. They even had that little wave drum mini. Have you seen that one? Where
I don't see him that much. I mean,
it has a strap. You can put it on your leg.
Yeah.
So it stays, while you're sitting down, it stays on your leg while you play it. It doesn't go flying off your leg. And then it has those little clip mics. And you put the clip on your shoe or something like that. And so now you get a kick drum while you bang your shoe.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And then play. So you have two instruments at once.
I could see that being an amazing studio instrument. You know, if you're in the right, like you said, maybe Henrik, instead of all the layers of synths, you just come in and start dancing around and I don't know.
Yeah. Actually, Korg in the 90s, they were definitely on fire in terms of their creativity.
Yeah. Somebody let them.
Korg and Alesis.
Yeah.
Korg and Alesis made amazing stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's what I want to find at the thrift store. Wave drum. That'd be cool. Guess I could just buy one.
Just get one. They're not that bad, actually.
No, they're probably not that bad.
But definitely get one before they go away, because I think the only one you can buy now is the global. The silver one is discontinued. The one called the Oriental, which is actually more Arabic stuff, is kind of a red color. That one's rare. I don't see that one anymore.
I don't think they will disappear. I think it's for some people it's kind of a religion to play those instruments.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I think they will.
But you know what's sad is the A-frame has disappeared. You can't buy it anymore except used. So it's one of those things that people realized. It's like Tenorion. They don't make those anymore. They're hard to find these days without some issues or really expensive, because they became classics long after they were discontinued. People didn't catch on. And marketing probably sucked as well, right? Got to blame the company a little bit. But people realize what you can really do with them, and they go, oh, it's gone. So.
I just see it as probably a really super cool thing to throw on some ambient tracks and different stuff. You know what I mean? You could put in some amazing cool textures.
Yeah. And because it's a proper skin that's sensitive, you can play with your fingers and slap it and stuff. Or you can use mallets or sticks lightly on it. You're not supposed to hit it very hard, but you could use sticks very lightly on it.
Yeah, just the timbral element alone is going
to get rolls and stuff.
Just get some cool. Yeah, if you can do it.
So I use mallets just so I protect it. Those little felty mallets.
Okay, so I need a wave drum and an Ectol moisturizer. So is anybody writing this down? Wagyu.
Well, try the Ecdol before you buy it. If you can, luckily, if I can store that near that has it. Yeah.
I won't do that. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna order it.
Oh,
Probably
boy.
at 10 or 11 at night.
Yeah, it's like drunk dialing. You know, it's like,
Nah. That's not something I would be too concerned with not using. I would probably be, as we said, overusing, like the little Thomas engine.
That's funny. Yeah, that's again why one of the reasons I go to Perfect Circle all the time. Not only is it a beautiful store with some cool people there, but they really have all those weird things, new and slightly used, that you read about and see in weird videos and stuff. They carry so much stuff there.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything around that would have that kind of stuff. It's fine, you know.
It was also what attracted me the most at Super Booth, the weird stuff. I wasn't interested in the new Arturia and all that. The weird stuff, that was what I wanted to see.
There's plenty of that. Yeah.
And sometimes the weird stuff is bad, but at least they're trying, right? They're trying to go some different direction, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it can kind of give you, because I think we all, regardless of like when you get a traditional synth, when you can't help but once you first sit down at it to kind of, you've got the things you do with it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it gets better when you get an analog or something with a lot of knobs, because maybe you're a little bit more exploratory. But when you get something like that Soma and they just go, well, here you go, do something. And you don't really have any reference. You just have to start using your ears again. And
well, they even make weird kids' music toys. I think it's called iJam. I forgot. It's something I would have loved to have as a kid, but obviously it came out much later than after I was a kid. But it's this little box. It has colorful lights on it, and it has this glowing, kind of looks like a ball, but it's more like a puck that does this kind of rolling motion in a slot. And then you have all these things, and you can load samples from a web page that no longer exists, but somebody made a standalone page for it. And you can do effects and groove and build up tracks with this stupid little thing meant for kids, right? And it's super expressive with this wheelie thing that moves around, this little puck. And it's just,
we had one synth we bought for him. It was relatively cheap, but it had a lot of presets. And I almost didn't want to bring it into the studio and record it because I was afraid it was going to be too close to some of my expensive gear.
Something you pay a lot of money for. Yeah.
You're like, you know what? With a little bit of effects, this actually doesn't sound that bad.
Yeah.
Oh man, no, but they are fun. Some of that stuff. Yeah, all sorts of sounds. Like you said, you can use pretty much anything. And then modular is so fun because of the way you can patch so easily, Yeah. I mean, if we all had Manny's brain, it wouldn't be a problem. We could just patch in our minds. I don't know what but I can't.
Yeah, when he zips through that SY99 on the demos,
and
so many pages, he's
and he sort of says it like you understand.
Yeah.
Then you just got that? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. There's an operator, right? And then there's you're like, no, I don't understand. I do want that Op 6. That looks like
it is nice, yeah.
Oh,
I need to use mine more.
It looks like one I might be able to get weird, like experiment a little bit more.
It's very immediate because you can basically have everything right there on those sliders. And then because you can also create your own custom patches, not just tweak a few operators, but you can make your own operator combo. There's a little mode where you can edit your own custom operator algorithm. Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of unique. I haven't seen that on a lot of things.
But it must get gnarly pretty quick, right? Once you start.
Yeah, it does.
Working with those, it must. I mean, because
it can also get very sparse as you start pulling the operators out. It can get really thin and light, and then get all kind of weird stuff depending on how you've set it up. So it's
I've got the software version. It's very, very cool.
Yeah, I bet it is. Yeah, I see.
It's just the build quality. It's like a box of air. It feels like really cheap, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just,
And the keyboard sucks on it. But other
What
than
about
that, it's fine.
the big one's probably better though, right? The 61. I imagine.
Oh yeah,
but those are expensive. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I mean, all those are pretty. I don't want to say they're overpriced, but they're not cheap. They're not impulse buys.
No.
Yeah, and it also has
It's not
different
for me.
filters in it too, which is nice. They added some like famous filters inside of it,
Yeah.
so you can
But
jump between those.
But just being able to use non-sine waveforms is just
Yeah.
such a game
Yeah.
changer for FM. Yeah, it's
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
Very good stuff. I don't have the other ones though. I don't have the mod wave or the wave state, but I have a wave station, which is really nice. So
oh yeah,
I bet it
that's
is.
classic.
yeah, especially the AD, you have a lot more interaction with the audio. It's very, very good.
I'm sorry I'm a little quiet, but I'm looking for a video I would love to show
Okay.
with a weird machine.
Or
I'm trying to think of some other weird stuff. There's plenty out there, but I can't think of any other ones right now.
trying to.
I did like, because obviously we mentioned Heinbach earlier about using stuff that isn't specifically music equipment to make music.
Yeah.
And there on eBay in the UK there was an advert, somebody selling a piece of electronic test equipment, and actually said on there, "Why not buy this and become the UK's own Heinbach?"
There you go.
That's nice.
So there's a video you have to check out. I don't remember the title of it, but this guy made a thing called the Stockhausen 1. And it's a stack of test oscillators a la Heinbach.
Right.
But it sounded really nasty, gnarly, and he plays it for quite a while. He's kind of dancing around while it's playing. And he's trying to basically, I think he's trying to sell it at one point. And the video should still be on YouTube, but it's just, that stuff can sound really terrible. Heinbach makes it sound wonderful. This guy made it sound really bad. So if you want to see how much all this expensive test equipment can be
done.
yeah, how it's not done, watch that guy's video. It's very funny.
And the Sherman filter bank. I don't think we talked
yes.
about.
Yeah.
Has anybody ever tried that one? That's another one I've always wanted to try.
Seen it but never tried it. I've used other filter banks, like some Buchla stuff, and
Yeah, that's kind of. It's another perfect circuit. When I'm looking at the website, I'm like, oh yeah, that looks cool.
yeah, there's a bunch of stuff like that. Again, Perfect Circuit has a lot of, you just wander around and go, what is that? Oh, that's another weird filter bank or another weird control surface or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds amazing sometimes when I hear it. Just sounds.
But what's cool about stuff like this Terra is it looks like, oh, okay, it's just this whimsical, silly interface, but it's incredibly deep, and the effects on it are very good, and all the timbre options are really cool, and it does microtonal, and it even can be used as a proper MIDI controller if you want to. You don't have to use the built-in engines at all, but it has 32 engines in it.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, I
holy
just get lost playing that. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
When I've played it at the shows.
Yeah, it's very powerful. And it has step LFO and arpeggiator modes as well, so you can make things very rhythmic, lock certain things down with a hold, and then keep playing on top of it. So even though it's basically monotimbral, you can make it sound like it's doing a lot more.
Oh, yeah.
It's very good stuff.
Any luck, Henrik?
Yeah. I think. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, good, because I can't see the whole screen, so I couldn't see if I was muted or not. I think I have some of it now. I hope the audio is on. I'm not sure about that. Let's see. First I have to get over there. Can you hear that?
No.
Nope.
Could you hear anything?
No.
Nope. That's the same thing every time.
Just put the link in the chat.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's a longer video.
What is that called? What is it?
I can't remember what this one is called. It's from CG Products. They had a tent on Super Booth with these kind of setups.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, they had some of them in the big top as well, along with record players and things. If you went, did you go in there at all, Henrik?
Where do you say?
In the big top, what looks like a circus tent.
I can't remember.
Yeah, that was definitely the weirdest stuff in there. It had all the weird equipment in there.
Oh, it's electromechanical.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was really steampunk-like.
So there were several companies for years, and I was so late to the game I missed it, but they were making servo control modules for your modular. And you could buy the little servos and you could hook them to your drums and your other stuff to bang around and make patterns and or strum or whatever. And no one makes them anymore. All the companies stopped making it. So, sucks.
Yeah. Well, that was one of them. The other I would have shown was from a company. I don't know if it's the same video. I don't think so. Let's see. No. It was. Can't remember the name of the company, but they made some machines playing some desks, and they played against each other and kind of communicated and reacted to each other's stuff, and it was like listening to a few R2D2s arguing.
That's funny.
It was very funny. It's one of the videos too on my channel from Super Booth. I thought it was day 2, but I can't find it on day 2. I've been through all on day 2. So, but their gear was very weird and interesting. I'll try to search more for it, and you can just continue talking.
Yeah, I would like to go to one of those shows because they always have a lot of interesting things there.
Yeah.
But since I've never been to Germany, I'll probably be angry too because I want to go see the country. So I want to spend all day in an expo, right?
Yeah, so. But it is amazing though. We had a there last year at one point. We had a big table outside where the drinking area was, and there was probably 20 different sound designers around one table, everyone from a different country. It was just really insane. It was just amazing.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank on some other weird stuff. I had a bunch of stuff at the top of my head earlier, but can't think of any right now.
Just found it.
Aha.
But again, it's without sound, and that's sad. But it's these things. I do have a picture of the company name.
Oh, Tone Wheels.
Yeah, I can't remember. Melody Oracle. I can't pronounce it. .com.
That's crazy.
Wow, looks great.
Yeah, it was, and it's so sad you can't hear it. I can try to put the headphones up.
Oh, that's working.
Oh.
So that's the sound from my headphones.
That might be the only Behringer synthesizer that sneaks into the show.
I love
giving it a different skin, but that is that's a neutron.
yeah.
So that was called
Neutron's kind of weird in its own way.
Oh yeah, the neutron. I love the neutron.
Yeah, I think I like the neutron. What was that? Melody Oracle?
Yeah, Melody Oracle. Let's see. I'll post the link in the. Let's find it here. There. I may need this. Here it is. So you can try that.
Let's make sure I got it.
Yeah, but Henrik's walks around are definitely worth watching if you haven't seen them.
Yeah, I walked a lot.
Yes.
So, are you all watching it, or you're so quiet?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's. I was so fascinated by this, and it was just one man standing there with his own constructions, and someone should discover the man and make him big.
Yeah, because we've only got now 2 months until it's time for the show again. So
Yeah.
looking forward to that.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
I had a series of rack effects from the late 90s, I think. I have a couple of them, but I haven't used them for a while, so I already forgot the name of them. But they're really cool because one's like a vocoder-y kind of thing, one is a really weird delay thingy, and another one has like some reverb and some other kind of delay line type effects in it. And it's really clever because they have like a nice tap tempo button right up front, so you can quickly jump into sync it with other things that you have. Lots of knobbage and quirky in its own special way. And they're weird too because they're these little things that they're designed to sit on a tabletop at an angle, but they also are like the equivalent of a 2U rack with the ears built in. So you can put it right in a rack, or you could just put it on the tabletop. And I'm totally drawing a blank on the brand and the names of the
Boy, it
products.
does sound familiar too.
And they're different colors. One's red, one's
Yep.
blue, one's green.
Yeah.
And they're really nice. I think it's Effectix is the company name.
Yeah.
I
You
think it's
could be right.
Effectix.
I think you're right.
And they're
Something
really,
like
really
that.
fun, and they get weird really fast. I did a drone stream a while back with a few droney instruments on this table here, and a couple of the Effectix racks. And
Yeah, because they were real popular for a while. Everybody was using.
Yeah.
Well, it was a big
Yeah,
electronic.
that's it. Electrics. Yeah, I think that Ragu got Electrics.
Yeah, that
I
sounds
couldn't remember
right.
how it was spelled or pronounced, but
No, but right when you said like the different colors and the standalone, I was like, yeah, I remember my buddy having those.
it's clever because they made it so you could use it in multiple use cases. It wasn't just, it has to be in a rack, and it has to be a box on the table. They thought about all that when they built it, and it's not even ears put on it; they're just built into the case. So it's clever from the get go. And
Wago's gonna like this, but it's definitely worth like going on some old effects rack binges, and
Yeah.
deep diving and just getting some cool stuff. You may not keep some of them long term, but I mean, now if you've already done them all, I get that, but for a lot of us that didn't totally, have the money or the whatever resources, it's a lot of fun. You can get some really cool ones. I was trying to think of, God, this is
well, it's like I was talking in the chat a little
Oh,
while
that
ago
one.
about the
had it really pumped one.
what's it called? The Vortex
Mhm.
effects rack, which is really cool.
Alesis?
Lexicon
Is that it?
Lexicon
Lexicon,
Vortex.
sorry. Yeah, not Alesis.
And it's a gimmick, but it is a fun gimmick because you have an A and a B, and you can mix between them, or you can have it morph, and there's like a time you can set between where it morphs between them. And that makes it fun for things that like pan crazy, and then you quickly go to a more subtle effect, and then break in that panning effect. So it's a gimmick, but it's a lot of fun. They were very clever back in the the late 80s, early 90s for some of that stuff. Even some of the cheaper stuff, like the ART brand. Like I have one called Dr. X.
Yeah, I'll try to find some more. Let's see.
They're all fun if you can accept maybe a little noise or imperfection, but
Oh, definitely, yeah.
they're
And
really.
Elisa's had a bunch of those too. They had several
I
rack
know.
units.
I had one. I wish I could remember the name.
Is it Akira?
No, I would have to really see it.
Quadriverb?
No, I wish it was something like that. I never had a quadriverb, but I remember.
I've still got my quadriverb here.
Yeah.
I remember. You know how you just get in those massive deep dives where you're just like.
There you go. That's it.
Yeah, that's them.
That's actually a good article too. The
Yeah,
sound on sound.
probably
one.
would.
Yeah.
That's why everybody looked at. Yeah, they were really cool.
So
They're
they're like
fun.
3 or 4 major ones. One was even like a sample playback
Yep.
tweaker one.
Yep.
I think that's the blue one. And they were pretty fun. But see, there's several buttons there, and some have like a donut shape to them. And those are the momentary buttons for like tap tempo, and actually hold. You can actually bypass. So it has like a live bypass with those little buttons, so you can play it dynamically with your music. Instead of just a bypass button, it was actually meant to be played. So it made the thing really fun to use.
And they look cool.
They do, yeah.
I think they do at least.
It's kind of like an early version of the those Eventide pedals that came out, all the different colored Eventide pedals.
Mm-hmm. Like the pitch factors.
They had, yeah, like all those. It's kind of like an early version of those, but
Yeah, they were definitely.
they had this
before.
interactivity with these buttons on them, which is really fun. A lot of companies weren't doing stuff like that. You just set it and you just leave it, or maybe twist a knob or something. But to have these little dynamic buttons that you can play to interrupt things. Yeah, I have the small green one there too. That one's pretty cool. That's like a flanger, chorusy, something or other. And then they've made a rack thing to put them together like that, yeah. But they're really solidly built, and you can see the rack ears are just built in. So use them how you want, on the table or in the rack.
Yeah, it looks like they had a really Electrics Pro repeater, like a really nice sampler unit too.
That's the blue one, right?
Yeah, that's it right there. I think.
That one's pretty bonkers.
Yeah,
That's it right there. Yeah,
That's probably
I've
the
never
one.
seen one of those. They're not very common.
Yeah, I bet that's wild. That's probably
Yeah.
a ton of fun.
It's not very long samples.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like you're complaining about the 1 second
Press
loop thing.
infinite
Yeah.
blip.
So it's a lot of work to get something in here, and then you go, oh, that's all I can do with it. So sometimes they are too limiting.
Yeah,
You go too far back.
you got to have a lot of patience and tolerance.
But yeah, it's fun. It even had even one of them I got from a guy used in its original box, and it looked like an amp box with the diamond plate on it. The whole box was like really ornate with diamond plate all over it and stuff. Even their packaging was good. It's a cool company.
Yeah,
Nice
Azio
one
Head has
passed.
put in the chat saying that nobody liked the Elisa's reverbs. That's what I remember, at least. I'm thinking those of us who could only afford Elisa's and nothing else love them.
No, the Alesis wedge was amazing. Even Mike Metley screams about those, how wonderful they were. So the wedge is really cool.
Or it's like the Eventide, the original, like
Yeah.
harmonizers.
And a quadriverb,
stuff.
too.
They were so
I mean,
wild.
Kent uses quadriverb with his CS80.
Yeah.
He loves a quadriverb.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
Oh.
it's a great machine.
yeah. There's still a lot of life in a lot of those old boxes. Like I said, you could give me original harmonizer. I'd love to have it. They're just so wild.
Oh, the H3000 or whatever it's
Yeah,
called.
God,
Oh, those are amazing.
They're so amazing. My brother had
Yeah.
one, and you could just have so much. You just sit there, hit presets, and it's just so wacky.
Yeah, it's fun. So when the quadriverb was like the hot ticket from Elisa's, Digitech was upping their game and made a thing called the DSP 128 Plus.
Digitech, that's.
And I was at Guitar Center and I had all these Casios and I'm like, I want to make them sound better. I have a little bit of money. I ended up buying the Digitech because it had one reverb called the Ultimate Reverb. The whole algorithm was just reverb, and it had like 15 parameters you could tweak, and it was wicked. You could do way better stuff than you could with the Alesis Reverb, but it didn't have all the cool multi effects at once and the EQing you expect to have that were nice graphical EQs with the LCD screen. It was that stupid LED display, but it was worth it because the reverb alone was so cool. They have a preset called Train Station, and you could just go. It just goes on and on and on and on, and you know, for the time it had some glorious artifacts in it, but it was a really good high quality reverb. You open the box, and it had like 8 VLSI chips in it. It had a lot of horsepower in it.
There was a question about Alesis. I call them Alesis. They got bankrupt in 2001, just after the bubble.
That was a sad time. Yeah.
Well, their equipment was bought by the company that eventually also bought Moog.
In music brands.
Yeah, in music, yeah. But before that, they had they mixed with a DJ company. I forgot the name of the DJ company. So the Alesis Ion and the Micron. The Micron was rebranded. It's the same exact box with like different decorations on it, and I forgot what they called it, but it's really just a Micron. So they gave it some more life. But yeah, at least this was really cool. They had you know, those, you've seen the Air Synth and the Air Effects and those little pedals that snap together with DB9 connectors, so you don't have to use all these wires. They're called Perform Effects, and yeah, really good stuff. Miniac, that's it. Marco's got it.
Oh yeah.
There's essentially a Micron, at least it's Micron repackaged. And the Micron was one of the first little mini synths that had a performance mode, like a JDXI, but different, where you could put it in a performance layer, and you could segment certain keys for certain things, and you could do up to 4. I think it was up to 4 parts, like on a JDXI, and do a whole songs with just one performance patch. It was really clever.
I'm on another wiki here, where we'll talk about in music.
Oh, yeah.
And
I'll be right back,
some
guys.
of their brands.
Yeah, so some of the legacy stuff is still out through in music and Akai and all that, but a lot of the really cool stuff is long gone.
Yeah.
I like they took the Air technology from the Air Synth and Air Effects and put it in a keyboard. It's called the Photon X25. I have one of those, and it's fun because you have it's this little dome, and the same kind of thing. You have this called AXYZ, so you can do this, and you can go up and down, and so it's kind of like a D-beam, but 3D, and so it's fun for controlling stuff. You know, I don't use it that much, but it's a novel idea. It just didn't take off.
Yeah. Boom, boom, boom. It seems like we have reached their bladder size. And
I think so. or they also have cats going crazy. So.
Yeah, also that. So, I will end the stream soon, but I will wait till they're back.
Yeah, that's fine. I think we exhausted it pretty well. I mean, I have more weird stuff I wasn't able to pull out, but
you can do it now.
I don't have it handy. It's tucked away.
Okay.
I only had time to get so much stuff out. I was taking a nap and then doing other stuff, but I should do get a bunch of it together one time and just do a super weird stream of just all the weird stuff I have in one stream.
Yeah, I would like to do something with you too, or some live things, if you want to.
Yeah, sure.
So, but let's return to that. I have a lot of ideas about that.
Okay.
Yeah. Hi again, Tim.
Hi.
So that was the size of your bladder.
Sorry.
So Tim, what's your favorite, newest one or two synths that you have? What's good these days?
Oh, well, I have a which I love is my Prophet X.
Yeah.
So I have one of them, and
Yeah, I was
obviously now
tempted to get one of those.
and now the Hydrosynth as well. I've got yeah. Most of the stuff I've bought more recently has tended to be the sort of weird stuff and semi-modular stuff. So as sound sources.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I was blown away. I played Prophet X in the store a little bit, but then one of the guys who worked at Sequential did a live jam set at a local synth store in San Francisco way back in like 2014, 2015, something like that. Whenever that thing was brand new.
Yeah.
And I think it was Carson, I think. And he had all Sequential and DSI stuff at the show. It was like 4 different units. And he did some wicked stuff on the Prophet X.
Yeah.
And so one of the first videos on my channel, actually, if you go way back to my old videos, he's toward the end of the show. There's a guy doing a Buchla thing. It's that guy Pef, who's now Mr. Buchla.
Right.
There's Kurt Kurosaki. He's there, and then this guy does it at the very end, and it gave me some really cool ideas for Prophet X. I just could never afford it.
Yeah. It's I've just had to have it repaired because a lot of them have had the same problem where the voltage wanders off.
Oh.
So they stop starting up. So you either have to recalibrate the power supply and motherboard, or you have to send them back to the company and they replace them with calibrated ones. So apparently that's been hitting a lot of owners. So
is it hard to load new samples into it? I forgot. Is it?
It's not too difficult. No, it's just a bit weird that if you are loading in patches that use new samples, you've got to load them in as 2 separate operations, which is a bit weird. But apart from that, no. The only trouble is, because I'm so used to software, is that you are obviously limited in terms of how many banks of sounds you can have. So I've loaded in some third-party stuff, and I'm basically full now. But I've got a really good selection of stuff in there in terms of sound capability. So
it's ADIO. They make good stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
but the ADIO do some add-on packs which were other synthesizers and electric pianos and things, but the ones that are third-party tend to be better, more interesting, because they just did a few samples from each instrument, and it's not a particularly interesting selection they've done, personal opinion. But
it's more like here, have some samples.
Yeah. So and they're quite expensive for what they are, unless you get them on sale. So it's a but they load it with a few third-party stuff, and it is awesome. The capability machine. So
cool.
Yes, I used it live once, and someone just walked up to me and just looked at this sea of knobs and just went, "I hope you know what every one of those does."
I was going to say Prophet X would definitely classify as a weird synth. So.
Oh yeah, it is. It's I tend to describe it to people as it's like Omnisphere in a keyboard, because it.
Yeah, Dave made amazing stuff, man. I love my Polyevolver. It's one of my favorite things he made.
That is, but that is one of my favourite sort of memories of being in the synth world. Is actually I got to meet Dave at Synthfest a couple of weeks before he passed away, and told him I had.
Was he looking ill? Was there an indication he was?
He wasn't. He was walking with a stick. Okay. Other than that, I mean, the last time I saw him, he was laughing and joking with a bunch of guys they were having an argument about the pros and cons of sake against tequila.
He's a big tequila, yeah.
Exactly. So and it was a and that was the last time I saw him. So it was a really great.
In fact, at Synthplex a couple years ago, they're giving away shot glasses with his logo on it.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was that was a great moment. But I told him I had the Prophet X, and he said, and he sort of leant close to me. He said it's actually my favourite of all the machines I've ever made.
Really?
And I was thinking afterwards, I was wondering, did he say that to all the customers? And so,
Yeah.
but, no, he obviously was very proud of it. But
Yeah, it's an interesting idea.
yeah, yeah, shame it is discontinued now. But it's
Yeah, but I imagine they're not too easy to pick up anymore. They're probably kind of rare out there.
no, they are. But because people have had problems with them, that people are selling them, so they do pop up on eBay occasionally.
Yeah.
So
I still want to get a.
in fact, I think it's one at the moment
Tempest.
for about 2,000.
Have you seen a Tempest? Those things are amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be fun. Now.
Really quirky, but really, really cool too. It's basically like an evolver and a drum machine. So
Yeah, that would be super cool to have one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
The Tempest isn't cheap though, second hand.
No,
That's
it's
quite,
Yeah, see, missed that one. It never was cheap, really,
no,
was it?
it was always expensive.
well, it's time to end the stream. Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Hey, this is a weird ending for the stream, isn't it? It's a,
Yeah, but that's kind of the point. But I can see there's a lot of love for being weird in the chat. So we will try if we can
Get weird,
to be
huh?
weird again another time.
Yeah. I think it's going to be pretty easy.
Yeah, you may be right there.
I don't know if we were even trying yet. But fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So let's thank all the chatters. I can't mention you all, but thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And thanks to all the guests and to all the weird people around. No, not around the world. Not everybody. But to those who made weird instruments.
Yes.
yeah, definitely.
And weird music. And weird.
Very inspirational.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I got some inspiration. I got some ideas, so
Yeah.
it was fun.
Yeah.
It's good for me.
So let's do something weird with sound and return another day. This time, the next Senior Synth stream will be sooner. It's not going to take 1.5 months. And the reason, you all know it by now, I lost my daddy, and it was time, and I had a good goodbye, good talk just before it happened. So everything is fine now, and
Speaking of where, like a comment from Beetlejuice, she says you can only be seen by the strange and unusual. She goes, "I myself am strange and unusual."
Oh, yeah. I myself. Yeah.
yeah,
So you have a little bit more time now, Henrik.
yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I don't know if I have more time, but
Yeah.
but
Jeez.
I gave you some more play last night, Henrik. I used one of your albums to get on the stream, so the microtic stream.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, YouTube is not paying anything. No, not YouTube.
No, but I put your link.
Spotify.
I put your link in there for the
Yeah.
Bandcamp. So
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, but even you playing it, I like it. I love it.
it matches. There's one scene where this blue-green algae was cruising by, and the music just fit perfectly. It's like shh. So
Yeah, but it's nice to see that one is playing it.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. The income on streams were better a year ago. Now it's really terrible.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes I'm considering if I even want it online.
Well, at least you got up there. I still can't get to 1,000 subs, so I can't get any money for my stupid channel. So
So, yeah. Okay, but thank you, everybody. Let's be weird the next time again.
Okay, nice to see everybody, too.
thanks everybody. Good times.
Yeah.
Bye, chatties.
Take care.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Right.
Oh, and now I have to find the outro. Oh, David left fast.
It's too weird for me. I had to get out of here.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, good night, Chalice.
All right.
Bye all.